Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Man, tired, but I made it. Rode here, Phoenix. I'm in Chandler, Arizona right now. Got in about 10 o'clock last night and went straight to the Paint Huffer warehouse and sat down with Brian, and we did this podcast you're about to hear. And I was tired. I was sore. You know, it was I think it was I didn't know I had 2.5 hours of conversation in me, but you know, I did. But anyway, it was a good time, and I want to thank Brian for all the hospitality. He comped his room for me, which is awesome because I needed a good bed to sleep in today. Today I'm actually I'm not sure, man. I was gonna do something with the Ramjet, but they're real wrapped up and busy, so I'm gonna reach out to a few other shops, see if I can find someone to podcast with before I jump back on the road and head up to Vegas tonight. So good times, man. I want to thank D&D for sponsoring this podcast, man, and thank you guys for buying exhausts and using that code. I appreciate that. You can always check it out at dndexhaust.com as well as D&D Exhaust on Instagram, and you can always call in orders at 844-DND Pipe. As always, you can put Fast Life one word in at checkout or when you phone in and get a percentage off of that exhaust system or whatever you're picking up from them. We really appreciate those guys helping us do this podcast and making these trips possible, as well as you guys and your Patreon support and all that good jazz. I also want to thank Mark from Texas Performance MC, holding it down in Cedar Park, Texas. You can always go check him out in person, CT Bar Jesus himself, anytime you like. Cedar Park, Texas. That's in Texas. I know. Yeah. TexasPerformanceMC.com as well as on Instagram. And also on this podcast, you will hear Brian from Paint Huffer Metal Flake. Man, it's weird. We just kind of rambled. We didn't have a topic. We just talked about a lot of shit, and threw a lot of opinions out there, as at least I know I do. And we just talked. So it was it was a good time just catching up and seeing the shop, and had to re-up on a couple flakes myself. And man. So thank you, Brian, for all the hospitality and all the support of this podcast, man. Since damn near day one, you know what I mean. Thank you for everything you do for us painters and artists in this community of the world, whatever. But yeah, it's early. It's 10 a.m. No, it's 9 a.m. here in Chandler, so it's actually 10 a.m. where I'm from. So it's about the time I usually get up. Anyway, I'll just get right into this podcast, man, because I don't want to ramble on too much. So check out Brian, Paint Huffer Metal Flake. Oh, and it was his birthday yesterday, so he actually stayed in the shop till about damn near 2 o'clock on his birthday to talk to us. So thank you again, sir, and happy birthday. Check him out. Here he is, Paint Huffer Metal Flake.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Hopefully it'll work this time. Should be.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I get allergies like once a year,
right.
And it's just like fucking miserable.
But out here in the desert, dude, I don't know what the fuck is wrong or what's been growing, but a lot of people move out here because Arizona's kind of like a melting pot. Everybody from New York or whatnot. So they move over. So my wife is like, "Damn, dude, sound like you're having a hard time breathing today." I was like, "No, it's just fuck." We went hiking earlier. There's South Mountain here, so try to keep the beer gut down and go hiking for a couple hours. And we're taking my dog, and I'm just like, dude, I'm dying. But everything, we just got hit so bad with a huge storm. It rained nonstop for about 3 days out here in Phoenix. So I think everything's starting to grow again. And, it's like a big mosh pit of allergens out there. So bear with me on this podcast as I slam some beers with you. Dude, you're fucking crazy, dude. I cannot believe you just rode 1,100 miles and literally pulled up here. I heard your motorcycle in the back. I came out, opened the door, and now we're jumping into a podcast. You're fucking, dude, you're my hero. That's crazy, man. How was your ride?
It was good, man. It wasn't as like it went quick. It was easy. This is the first time I've done this trip out west by myself.
Okay.
And man, I'd pull in the gas station, I'd gas up, I'd go chill. 20 minutes later, I'm on the bike and I'm good, and I'm running. Yep. And being on the bagger, having so much extra gas capacity,
right?
I was able to just stay, like, I guess here's the other good thing. I usually don't get sleep the night before.
Yep.
So this time I got so drunk yesterday
Nice.
that I passed out at like 7:00.
Oh, you got hard sleep then?
Yeah. So
You hit me up about what, 3?
No, it was like 1.
Or 1. Okay.
So I had woke up at 1.
Right.
And went in the living room and took some like Advil or some shit like that, just hoping to kind of get things back, just so when I wake up.
Nice.
And I had intended on waking up at like 3 a.m. Because I didn't even pack like my clothes. I had all my shit packed, but not my clothes and stuff. It was one of those nights, man. My wife was there. We just, we don't really cuddle a lot when we sleep, but we did last night. So I was kind of like just enjoying that shit.
You were just in the moment.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Next thing you know, it's fucking 5:30. So I got up, took a shower, got the bike loaded up, and then when I woke up, man, I was like, "Fuck, man, I gotta go. I gotta hurry up. I need to get out of the house," because I was thinking it was gonna be traffic, and I forgot it was Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah. So I was like, it was smooth sailing, but.
So I know we talked a second ago, but you were coming in from Dallas. You're in the city of Dallas, like the downtown.
Yeah, I live directly downtown, so.
Because you were out in the country road there, right?
My shop is still outside of Dallas, like 20 something miles, and I used to live right by the shop, but then we moved to Dallas.
Okay.
Back in May of last year, but.
Nice.
Yeah, so the man, I don't know, man. It was easy. It wasn't that bad,
Yeah.
I thought losing the time was going to be a pain in the ass. And the other thing is like, how Arizona doesn't change the they don't do
time
the
zone.
Yeah.
We're Mountain Standard. Yep.
So y'all are always the same. So like sometimes you're the same as California.
Right.
And so usually like usually when we come out here, you're the California time. So we would gain 2 hours.
You will.
But this time I only gained 1. So it ended up being 15 hours total on the bike.
It's a trip too, because I'll call my bros back home from San Diego, and I'll be like, "Hey, man," and they're like, "Oh shit, dude, no, you're good," because I think I'll hit them up too late, midnight, 11 o'clock, and they're like, "No, dude, it's 10 o'clock," and I'm like, "Oh fuck yes, dude, daylight savings is a great thing." So yeah, that definitely saves us out. But man, that's crazy, dude. Yeah, I know you kept on hitting me up today. You were like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, we're down. Like, we're definitely doing this. This is gonna be fun,"
Well, I haven't did this in a long time, like done 1,000. They call it the iron butt thing, right? It's when you do 1,000 miles in 24 hours.
24 hours, yeah.
And I did it once before, exactly. Like we ended up getting a hotel right across from Chandler Harley.
Okay.
The first time I did it.
Yeah, that's where you're at.
Okay.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
So, so this time the same time, but like I said, man, it was not doing it solo. I was able to like stop, gas up, chill for a minute. Like it was kind of hard the first couple hours because it's cold as fuck out there in West Texas.
I was just gonna ask you that now. Was it cold today?
It was cold this morning.
Yeah.
So when I left Dallas, it was like 40 something.
Right.
And then when you got out west of Fort Worth, man, it like dropped down. Like I didn't, I was checking the weather of all the major cities, but it's those spots in between the major cities where there's nothing.
Nothing is fucking cold
dude. So
as shit.
The second time I stopped, man, I stopped just to kind of like stopped at a Denny's and thawed out and everything. I looked at the weather; it was 23 degrees.
Fuck that. You and I talked last week too, because I hit you up because I was coming back from Payson, Arizona, which is about 2 hours north here of like North Phoenix. It's up in the forest area there, but I was think we were talking about helmets. I'm like, hey man, what do you use? And do you I've never used glove warmers or any of that. I've just gone on. I wasn't even wearing long johns or like thermals or anything, but I invested in some the other night and I rode. I was like, dude, I'm good to go. Yeah. And then I got out on that I-10. I was going down to Casa Grande where my tattoo shop is out there. And I was like, whoa, okay, fuck yeah. It was like 30, 28 degrees and you can feel it. It sucked for a minute. I think the great thing, like on your road glide, does that cover a lot on you?
Yeah, the fairing takes care of it, pretty well. You know what I mean? The main thing I had to do was I got thermals on, I got my pants, and then I ended up having to stop and put another pair of socks on.
Nice. Do you wear the? My wife just got me the fuck are they? They're like the Gore-Tex socks or whatever. They're like the waterproof, but they're super like water resistant. Like thermals, they're amazing.
I haven't seen them, no.
They're from like REI. I don't know if you guys have an REI out there. Something that she found. And I was like, where did you find these? These are amazing.
Yeah.
Just like, they're like your typical wool socks times 10.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing, like how you and I talked when you first came in. I'll always wear like I don't know, whatever my gear is on top, and then I'll wear like snowboarding pants because it won't breathe through, right?
It stops the wind.
Stops the wind, and it's just like a windbreaker. Like if you have something on, it works. It keeps you really warm. So
yeah, it wasn't bad, man. Like I said, it was when I first left, I was like, fuck, man, is this a smart idea? It's February. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was like, this is kind of stupid, you know what I mean? But then, after 9 o'clock, the coldest time is always between 6 and 8 a.m.
Yep.
So it's
that whole morning dew and
like right there is when it's like usually the lowest temperature is going to be.
Right.
And so when I was driving to that's when it was like 23 degrees. But then after I stopped and then, warmed up and went back out, it was like, 30 something, 33. And then an hour later was 40. And then after that, man, I didn't have my gloves on for a couple of hours,
But dude, freezing your ass off
Sucks.
and riding across town on a bike, it does suck, dude. But there's about a million other things that could suck a lot worse. I mean, it's nice to be on a bike. And when you get there, like you came in immediately, you're like, I'm gonna warm up. I was like, hell yeah, dude, let's do
my
this.
brother made this statement a long time ago, and it actually holds a lot of weight. I think is that how you start your day's riding is usually how you feel the entire day.
Yeah.
So it's like I did warm up at some point, but I was still. I never warmed up to the point where I took the extra pants off and the extra socks off, and I had a heated vest on all day.
Nice.
So it's really true, man. Like you, when you leave, if it's like 50 degrees, you're gonna feel like it's 50 degrees the entire day, no matter what, on these long trips or whatever.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, have you guys have ridden quite a while? I mean, quite a ways before too, right? Like
yeah, the first time that he made that statement after he rode a Sturgis the first time that we went.
Okay.
Because we got rained on for the first like 200 something miles.
Yep.
And then even though we dried off at the end of that, it was still like, and it was warm.
Mm-hmm.
We were still cold and felt wet the entire day.
I've done that where it looks like I just came out of the swimming pool.
Yeah.
I mean, like that rained on to where, you don't have your rain gear and you're just wearing, jeans or Dickies or whatever. I've done that. And it sucks ass. But I don't know, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you're riding your bike, you're out in the middle. I mean, you did it. You know what I mean? There's like I think we were talking about that. I don't know. You guys were talking about that in the last podcast or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you had, what was his name? And he was talking about, you know what? Get on your bike and go ride. Like, go stage to stage. Joe Kidd. Yeah, he was talking about that. And I was like, fuck yes. Why do you buy a bike? You don't buy it just to putt around the block. I mean, yeah, go out there and ride and
it's
get
not
out
that,
there. So
it's definitely, there's parts of it that sucked. Like it sucked when it was cold as fuck. It sucks when you're I don't like getting passed up by cars or trucks. So like I'm always like today, I probably consistently cruised about 95 the entire way.
do you ever hit your cruise control? Do you use that at all?
I hit it at 90, and that's the last it'll do it. But sometimes, like like I said, I think I averaged about 90 miles an hour. So there's plenty of times I was running 100.
Hell yeah.
And dude, that fucking road glide. I mean, these 19s, they're smooth, man.
Smooth.
Like I haven't done a trip like this on a new bike like this. The last couple trips I took were on the FXR and then a fucking 04 Dyna.
So you're on older bikes that have been rebuilt and remodified.
So this thing was. I mean, honestly, if in my head I was like in my head as of right now, like I could have made it to California. Like I don't think I could have made it to LA, but I think I could have rode all the way to California, like Blythe or whatever the fuck. You seem
like you're good, right? I mean, you seem
I'm
like
drinking beer, so
I know, but I mean, it's my birthday.
Yeah,
hey, we got to celebrate, right? We got to do a podcast and do all the good stuff. No, I think that's awesome. When I bought, I mean, I have the same motor as you, that 114, and out of the stock. Now, I don't ever really break in my bikes. I kind of just get on them and go and don't give a fuck. I mean, being an engineer, I guess I should do that a little bit. Now, do you break in your bikes? Do you go through? I switch through the gears. Like I'll run them up, run them down.
I did. You know what I mean? Because buying this bike, like I intended on keeping it for the long haul, and I just don't want to deal. It's their new motor stuff, and I don't want if something goes wrong with it, I don't want them to blame any of that shit on me. But my 2012 when I first bought that, I didn't break that shit. I just fucking went it. And I still 60 plus thousand miles on that bike.
Yep.
How
many miles you got on your bike right now?
Dude, I just crossed over 8,000 miles.
So I've got about 1,300 on mine. So I was just breaking it in, like I said, switches with the gears and stuff. But I was still rolling about 80, 90 down to Casa Grande. And they're like, oh, you shouldn't do that, bro. You should always stay within like 50 miles an hour or whatever. And I'm like,
what they want you to do is break it in by, keeping it around 3,500 RPMs.
Right.
So
not cranking up to 4 or 5 and, hot fucking burning it or doing burnouts in the street or whatever.
And, like all Harley motors, you're not supposed to kind of lug the motors or lag the motors. Mm-hmm. So you always, run them over. You never want to run them around 2,000 RPMs either.
Lagging a motor is the worst thing you can do to that. So. I mean, that's that detonation. That's not going to, and believe me, I mean, like I said, I have engineering aspects of it. When you do that tensile strength in there and you scar those inner walls of that piston, those piston walls, like that's not a good thing. You don't want to do that. You're just going to lose compression. It's the obvious. But I do sign up for that thing though too, like where I don't want to baby it too much. I wouldn't be hesitant to go on the freeway, and I wasn't. I was like, I'm just going to go. Yeah. Run through those gears. Don't keep it at the same speed for a long period of time. That's the worst because then they can.
Dude, they're expensive, man. Like, trust,
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
It's an expensive bike, but man.
You and I both have the same bike. I mean, I have a street glide, but you have the road glide. I had the road glide. I took it back. I got this one just because I needed something a little bit smaller, but yeah.
Dude.
Not cheap at all.
Literally, all I've done to that bike is put an exhaust, a seat, and handlebars on it. That's all I've done. And
who's the manufacturer of that exhaust?
Two brothers. It's TBR.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just glanced at it real quick, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I don't know what. I mean, my buddy Mark, he did a tune on it, like a download map, just for this trip, so it wouldn't be like untuned.
Texas Performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but when I get back and we do the cam and stuff, we're gonna dyno it and see what kind of numbers it does. So
nice.
I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody's really done any real pulls with that exhaust yet to see if it actually does anything or not. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Might end up pulling it off and put something else on. But
what is a 2-in-1, right?
It is 2-in-1, but it's a short pipe. So
okay. So
realistically, the 2-in-1, you want a good size header.
Okay.
So like the way the D&D headers are is kind of like the formula, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
But see the collector is a little bit past the transmission, like going backwards.
Okay.
So it creates a lot of power in that header and that collector, but it makes it hard to get that short pipe look when the header or when the collector is so far back. So it's it's kind of a give or take on that aspect. So either you do the full length exhaust or I think D&D has the Bobcat or something. It's something that stops a little shorter, but I don't know too much about it yet.
It looks badass and it sounds badass. You know what I mean? I think that's the aesthetic wise. I mean, it looks amazing. But yeah, when you pulled up, I was like, damn, dude, that sounds nice. You got the air cleaner on there. Did you do any other? You said that and handlebars? That was it?
Handlebars, seat. The creature comfort things, man. Like things that, to me, it's like those are the things that like you got to do on your bike to make it feel like it's not a stock bike.
Fuck yeah.
So the bars, seat, exhaust, it sounds good. It feels good, and then
When you first got off your bike, you had mentioned your back, and I grew up skating pools and surfing every day. My lower back, I sleep on a separate bed in my house. I had to go buy a Sealy Posturepedic bed, but that was a firm edition.
Mm-hmm.
And like my dog will jump up there, and she's like, "Fuck this! I'm jumping out like this thing's like a rock."
Yeah.
But it helps my back. You know what I mean? It definitely makes me that better. Today, was your back just on fire? I mean,
the first time that it ever happened to me is when my brother, again, we were riding to Sturgis, and we stopped at like a little rest stop.
Okay.
And I just laid on one of the like picnic tables for like 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
And then I got up and my shit was just like, it was just like,
it just spazzed him down.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Oh.
And so I was like, fuck, man. I was like worried because, we're on our way to Sturgis. I'm like, I've never had back problems before.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it went away like 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
And then so just now, like when I stopped at that McDonald's down there just outside of Tucson, and I laid down for a second. And I got up and my shit started hurting. I was like, fuck, man. And so the whole way over here from there, I'm like, man, like I'm 36. Is back problems going to be something that's going to have to I'm going to have to deal with in life if I want to. Yeah.
I'm 46 today.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, man, fuck, dude. I don't know, probably about 4 years ago, I was benching a lot. I was working out in the gym, like gym rat, just trying to stay in super shape. And I've never been to a chiropractor, but I had to go to the back specialist, and they were kind of put you in this machine where it's like when it moves this machine, it tests your lower back, but only your lower back. It's kind of a weird fundamental thing that they have going on with it. But he was like, Bri, you need to do something now because you're going to be one of those guys that's going to be like walking like you're leaning over when you're an old man. If you make it that long, he's like, your back is just toast. And he goes, I would recommend you going to a chiropractor or something like that. So I was like, all right, and I fucked it off. I was like, nah. But when I ride now, when I come to a stoplight, sometimes it kind of gets you a little bit like, disoriented. I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. My back is kind of fucked up, So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, drink beer, take Advil. Like you were saying last night, you took some Advil and stuff like that. It'll work. But you got to ride. I mean, I'll ride until I can no longer ride anymore. Like, I don't care what. I mean,
I think, I don't know. It's probably something simple like that. I do need to fucking work out, dude. It's so bad.
Yeah, but, in our lives, dude, especially, man, making time. I mean, I'm like a gerbil on a wheel. Like at 3 a.m., I have a mini gym in my house, and I'm on there, and my wife gets up at 4:30 to go to work, and she looks over at me, and she's like, you're retarded, but I'm out there just jazzercising it up, sweating, burning the calories. But I'll come off of drinking like, I don't know, a couple pints at night at the bar or whatever, and I'm like, all right, yeah, but you got to fit it in, man. There's no doubt about it, but we're good.
I just have too much of a social life, man.
Exactly. You got to live. You have to live. That's the way it is, man. Well, I'm proud of you. Your bike sounds good. It'll be so what's on the plan for this trip? I'm just going to interview you here for a second. We'll just switch the roles here. What was your whole thing for doing this trip? I know you hit me up last week and you were like, dude, I'm coming out. Let's do a podcast.
Well, honestly, man, like last year I didn't get to do any real trips, and the ones that I did do, they all got kind of cut short, or it was with my wife or my daughter or whatever the case was, which was fun in its own right. But I just wanted to ride, man. Like, fuck, man, I do these podcasts too. I'm in them, and I hear these people talking about riding all the time, and I'm like, fuck, I want to do it now. And I've had this this opportunity to go do these graphics on this bike up in Vegas. I was supposed to do it in December, and the bike wasn't ready, and they're just now getting it ready. And I kind of gave them an ultimatum. I was like, dude, if it's not ready next week, then just find somebody else to do it because I don't have time.
Can you talk about the company? Or
yeah, it's a TOL.
Okay.
They're pretty big in the bagger world, so
nice. Yeah.
It's like a Road King that they do. It's not going to be a complicated paint job, but
I follow them on Instagram. I know you're yeah.
And the only thing that's weird about it, and I don't really do this, is they had this guy Von Butch did a rendering for it, and he's kind of known here in the Phoenix area for doing a lot of renderings for bikes.
Okay.
And the dude does awesome shit, but
nice
to me, just my opinion, I think that if you're a painter, then you should be coming to a painter for a painter design. You know what I mean?
That's one thing that I admire about you too. Like you and I have talked, like we talk about, like I'm in the first podcast, like your daughter sat here for 3 hours, so what a sweetheart. And your wife sat out there in her car for like an hour and a half. We didn't even were doing a podcast. You and I were just shooting the shit. So, I mean, you've been out here before, but I think that's one thing that I've always admired. I told you that the last time you were out here, was that when I look at like 1 o'clock in the morning, you're drawing. And I think you come from that aspect of being an artist. Like you grew up with tattoo artists. I mean, you grew up in a tattoo shop. I mean, was it your stepdad or your dad that had the shop?
My uncle had a tattoo shop.
Your uncle had the shop. Okay. So that, how do I say this? You're 100% artist. And I think that's something to be very commendable about, because a lot of people don't do that whole cradle to grave.
Yeah.
They kind of farm out. They do this, they do that.
Well, I see it. Like I'm not against like this. In this situation, I looked at the design. I'm like, oh, fuck, I can knock that out easy as fuck. Like, this is easy money. You know what I mean?
Right,
but on a normal client coming to me in my shop, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, man, whoever drew this, I hope they know how to paint too.
Gotcha.
Yep. Like a good Photoshop shop guy and a good guy that can actually do paint jobs are two different things.
Way two different things.
So, and you never like,
it's the same thing, Jace. Like even the tattoo world.
Yeah.
I have customers that bring me their stuff. They're like, oh, I had this. My buddy drew this up for me, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Go down the street. I won't even tattoo that unless you want me to draw it. Like I can put my own spin on it and everything. And you can't. I don't want to bruise their ego. I want to definitely, treat them with respect. Obviously, I want to be a gentleman about it. But I think that's where you're kind of coming to this too. Like, so this idea was solid. You felt comfortable, and they know when they get a piece from you, man. Like it's
well, yeah. Like
it's gonna
when
be
this paint
super,
job's
super
done,
clean.
like I probably won't even post it or anything.
Yeah.
But when it's done, it's like it's not necessarily something. It looks like something I probably would have done like a couple years ago.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, like I said, easy money for me.
Yeah.
But
And this other guy, Von Butch, he doesn't paint, or he does.
I don't think he does.
Okay.
I mean, dude, the dude's talented with Photoshop and
sure.
creating badass paint jobs. But
okay. Yeah.
you know, I guess my only thing is, yes, if I feel like having a painter that you go to have your bike done,
mm-hmm.
that's part of the job is being creative to create a paint job, not a hired gun.
Tattoo. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's a lot of tattoo artists that don't draw. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. And there's some amazing artists out there that do that. But I think it's just, I don't know, man. If I'm going to have something.
Well, it's not your art after that point.
Totally,
so.
dude. You're just counterfeit. It's like, and then when you go to post it, you know, I mean, I have.
Yeah, then you got to tag the guy that actually created the paint job. It's like, man, I don't know. This feels weird. Like,
for sure.
It doesn't feel like it's my custom paint job. I just did someone else's thing or whatever. I don't know.
You're the robot that did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
But I did get the, you know.
How do you know these guys?
Oh, TOL, man.
You just had a relationship.
Hopefully he'll do a podcast and you'll find out.
Oh,
but
there
basically,
you go. Cool.
It's a long relationship. I've known him for a long time.
I didn't know if you had worked with them, like
kind of my old business, the one that I had that I got kind of screwed out of. Yeah. We kind of did a lot of work then, and just we just like been we've always been cool. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I just used this opportunity. I thought it would be a great opportunity to come out here, do this job. And, you know, basically I'm taking a week off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to take me 3 days to do the graphics. I think I could do it in 2, but 3 days total is what I set aside. And then I felt like, well, with this extra time, I could ride. I can do podcasts live with people, like as much people as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, and you know, like we're trying to branch out too. I'm trying to, you know, bring other people on that we haven't talked to yet, and you know, just other shit, you know what I mean? So
dude, you're on fire. I get hit on our DM on Paint Huffer every single day. I mean, it's probably 1 a day, 2 a day. People are like, hey man, I heard your first podcast, that's awesome, you know what I mean? And I think it's fucking rad. I'm like, dude, I've been with you since I don't know, the root. I mean, the beginning, pretty much the beginning of it. I remember you first calling me and was like, hey, what do you think about this? And do I sound okay? And all this. I'm like, dude, you got it, man. And your brother, what's Jesse up to? Is he still in the mix? Or
he tries, man. But Jesse's, like, I don't even know how to say it.
Is he painting?
He like buffs a lot of cars for shops.
Okay. I know I'm switching gears.
So he kind of like runs around and does that. And then he'll come to my shop and he'll buff like some parts for me or whatever. He's still around, but... Like, I don't know, man. Like, he's at that part now where he's kind of he's doing his own thing.
Is he doing his music?
Yeah,
so cool.
I think so.
Yeah.
He just moved he's roommating with this dude now, so he's kind of like his first taste of living outside of mom's house.
On your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Dude, I was really young when I wanted to get the fuck out. I had great parents and all, but I don't know, dude. I was the type of like when I was in the 7th grade, everybody could come over to my house because we could smoke cigarettes in my front driveway. And my parents were huge hippies, so I mean, I don't know. And my cousins, you know, they lived close and everything. They were always really great. So by the time I was 17 or 18, I didn't give a fuck. But I had a ton of friends that just were like shell shocked. They were like, "Oh my god, I gotta live on my own now. I gotta pay for myself. And how do you do your laundry? And how do you know all this shit, Brian?" I'm like, you know what? I don't know, man. I grew up pretty self-sufficient. I always wanted to make money, and I always wanted to just work fucking hard, you know? That's the same ethics that I have now. Like, people, I think it was funny, like, I don't know, a few months ago, you're like, dude, go to sleep. It was like 5 in the morning,
Yeah.
you get a text, and I'm like, I know, dude, Paint Huffer, man. We work hard, you know?
Yeah.
We work our asses off for it.
It's crazy because, like I was thinking about this on the way over here. It's like you have a brand,
Mm-hmm.
Paint Huffer, and I think about this about our brand as well, but you have a brand that really has no limitations. It could be so many things within this industry. You know what I mean? And how how like I know how I am. Like
Mm-hmm.
I got like 4 business plans figured out on the way over here today.
Right. Right.
Like how do you like?
And you and I always talk about
Yeah.
stuff like that. You're always like, "Hey, I got this place. I want to do this," and you have some great fucking ideas.
Yeah, I
Like,
just don't have any money.
we bounce the shit off of there. You know, and that's crazy, dude. Because like, I hear Danny Dixon always talk about that, like 180 in a dream, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, man." I started on nothing as well. If people were like, "Oh, you must have," you know, I know you were an engineer and I know you were this and whatever. And I was like, no, the way, like, if you heard of my first podcast, like I talked about my history, and I won't go into a whole lot of it tonight, but the bottom line, I started everything from my hands, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. From tattooing to, like, you know, painting and getting in stuff. I just got to the point where I didn't want to spend, you know, $65 on a jar of flake. So I was like, well, fuck this. I can go start my own damn company. And I was lucky enough to hook up with a polymer chemist. And you know, like I always tell people, I'm like, you know, we're USA made, we're solvent grade, we don't skimp. It's one thing to have a bunch of funny names as far as a branding, but if your integrity of your product isn't there, it doesn't hold up, you're fucked. You're fucked on every level. It'd be like, I use the analogy again with Dixon. If his flannels weren't so badass, you know, you could have the greatest looking flannel, but if the buttons were falling off and you know, threads were coming out, it'd be crap. And they're not. They're indestructible. I wear mine all the time, and I love Danny. He's a you know, seems like he's got a good business model going, and he's a local guy out here in Phoenix too. But with you and I, Jace, we've always talked about different businesses and opportunities and stuff. I think, you know, and people ask me that all the time, like, oh, what's next for Paint Huffer? When are we going to do this? And I'm like, colors, more stuff, more pearls, more colors, more colors, more colors. This year, 2019, we're hitting it strong. I have a custom flake and pearl that you and I are going to be doing. And then we've got, oh God,
got a ton of artists.
12 artists, 12 more artists that we'll be launching. So just to, you know, touch base on that real quick. But no, it'll be fun. I want to launch out a bunch of new signature series and doing stuff like that. And this is fun stuff to do. You know, it's one thing for me to come out with colors, but if I can talk to you and be like, hey man, what is something that you want?
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you're going to use? Yeah. Not just going to sit on your shelf. And it's a different thing. We see a lot of companies that come out nowadays where they'll launch a company and they'll put a ton of names on them. But is that person really going to use that product?
Yeah.
And we don't know. That's a big question mark. You know, it's like, well, really? Okay. So I think it's something to have your name on something, which is great. It means you've definitely achieved a great platform in your career and you have this nice accolade. But I think it's another thing if you could actually use it. And who I want to see use it too are the guys that hit me up at 2 a.m. asking questions on the DMs. They're like, look, dude, I paint my garage and I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll help you.
Yeah.
Because I've been there. I know how that is. So that's one thing I definitely, my wife all the time, she's like, Jesus Christ, you're never off that damn phone. And she's cool as fuck. Like she could just care less. But she knows that she goes, you always help people. And I'm like, yeah, I do, because I don't want to be that company where we're like, hey, go check out our website and read through all the MSDS sheets or do this or look at our YouTube video. Like, no, I'll help you. Call me.
Yeah.
Here's my phone number. Give me a call.
I've had this question asked to me a lot lately, and I don't know if it's kind of frustrating, but it's not frustrating it's not their fault, right?
Sure.
But they asked me like, hey man, like I'm ready to paint my bike, but I don't know what to do on it.
You know, and that's a huge one. We'll always talk to them and say, look, let's do this. Where are you at? Have you painted before? And I'll do kind of a check and balance with them. And if it's somebody who just decided last night that they're going to become a painter and they were working as a stockbroker or doing something completely 180 fucking difference, then I'll be like, look, we need to go ahead and, you know, I'm going to suggest you do some reading. And at that point, I would walk them through some different processes. But I had a guy today that kept hitting me up too. And he was like, well, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm brand new. And I'm like, no, I can tell you're brand new. Of course I can. You've asked me like 30 questions, the same thing. I'm like, yeah, you can. But again, I'm hiking, I'm on a trail, I'm answering his questions. You know, I probably look like a retard with my phone in my hand, but I just think, I don't know, dude, I fucking love this. I love everything about paint. I love the fact that we're here doing this right now. We're doing a podcast. I mean, I don't know, dude. I can't think of a better way to spend. This is an awesome day. It's awesome. And I'm proud of you, dude, for driving all the way the fuck out here, dude, and making this trip. So tell me, you're going to go to Vegas, and then you said you're going to California too, though, right?
Yeah, so Adam Sandoval is supposed to be doing this 20 greatest Rides in America
Dude,
thing.
Speaking about somebody who's epic. Yeah, love
So
that guy.
he's supposed to be doing the Angels Crest Highway or some shit, which is, I don't know if that's what it's actually called or whatever, but it's whatever the highway is. It's in the mountains just
Okay.
north of LA that goes through all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So so I was like, I hit him up. You know, he had already asked me earlier this year about like if I wanted to do any of them with him. And I was like, yeah, let me know which ones you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he was going to do that one, and I just looked at all the opportunities. Okay, so I got this thing with TOL. I can go paint this bike. What's the weather looking like? You know?
Yeah.
And what really made me think like, fuck it, I'll do it was a couple weeks ago. It was a Saturday. It was like 30-some degrees, and you know, I was riding my bike around, and I was all geared up, and I was just normal. I was like, man, this ain't bad at all. Fuck, I can do this.
Yeah.
So I was like looking at the weather, and as soon as I decided to make the trip, and I look and it's like snowing in Vegas. It's raining here. It's raining all over in Cali. So
I was going to ask you about that real quick. Just to ask you that, were the streets fucked up when you came into Arizona? Because today, like I rode up to like North Scottsdale. I went to a dealership that we deal with up there, and there's potholes all over the freeways. I mean, you got to be careful where you're going. Was there a lot of stuff that you came
I didn't see anything. The only thing that I saw, man, like it was really bad. This is the first time I ever rode to here, and actually made it to Arizona before the sun went down. So
nice.
The sun was going down over the mountains. It was sick when I was crossing into fucking Arizona, and so there was a shit ton of like water, like you know on some of the flatter valleys and stuff. Yep. There was a shit ton of water, but the roads were fine. I've always thought the roads were really nice out here compared to like Texas.
Dude, I've been back east. Well, in my engineering days, I used to live in Boston. Like time to time, I lived in Tel Aviv, Israel. Like I lived all over the world, right? But primarily, I would spend back on the East Coast. There's a lot of technology companies that are back on the East Coast, and I don't know if you noticed this either, but like even like in like Connecticut or like some of the states that are lower than Massachusetts, there's graffiti and there's trash and there's whatnot. When you come out here, I was very surprised at Arizona. Our freeways are clean as fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, what the fuck?
It's crazy. It's super clean, and it makes the neighborhoods look cleaner.
It does.
And then you have to like check yourself, like, oh wait, I'm in the hood right now.
Oh, totally. Yeah. The thing here, which is kind of weird for me to get used to, I guess, a little bit, because back east, you'll have houses that are, I don't know if you guys had them out in Texas as well, but they'll have those electric fences where they don't have an actual, you're not going to have like a wood fence or a brick fence. You have an electric fence. It's just open. It's just pastures. Could go on from there. And out here, it's like cookie cutter home. Like my house here, I butt up and thank God I got the best neighbors in the world. I mean, my neighbors are kick ass. Like neighbors today coming over, hey, happy birthday. Hey, what's up, Bri? I'm like, hey, fuck yeah. But our neighbors, we're sardined in there. It's, it's definitely, I don't know. It's just homes. It's the way it is out here. Track homes or whatever. Not track homes, but just home divisions, It's that way. In Texas, do you have a lot of home divisions that are that way? That are right next?
That was something they started doing in the 80s hardcore. They started making these, buying these, acres of land, like 50, 60, 70 acres, and then selling plots on them.
Yep.
And then the home divisions would have options of like 3 or 4 different floor plans.
That's what it is here.
Yeah, yep. So that was a big thing that started, because when I was in my architecture days, you look you look at homes in the up into the 70s, and you look at neighborhoods built in the 70s, and most of those were built more individualized, if that's the right word. So each house was its own kind of thing.
Okay.
And so then the 80s, you started getting these subdivisions, and these subdivisions were set up that way. And then, of course, the more newer you get, the more you see these subdivisions that have like swimming pools and playgrounds and like an office, like it's a fucking apartment complex and shit.
That was one of the first places I came here when I came to Arizona back in the early 90s. Was that way. It was a home division. We had a really nice setup, whatever, but it had a community pool and like you said too, same thing.
So to me, it feels weird. It's like you're buying a house, but it seems like it's still an apartment, or like
it does in a sense. Like you're right, man. Because like my house out here, I got a pretty decent little house. It's like 3,200 square feet. I've got a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, and it's big house. But I'm sardined. Like if my neighbors weren't cool, Oh, it would suck ass.
Yeah.
If they weren't so, nice as they are, but it just seems that way. But like in Texas, I don't know. I mean, you showed me like where you lived before. You had land, right? You had land out there?
I didn't. I just had a normal ass 80s house that was.
Oh, really?
Were
you on an acre or the acre
Nah,
plus?
not me.
Not even that?
I had a fucking I had a rent house, dude.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, my shit was fucking basic as basic can get.
Okay.
The garage was sick. That's why I rented it.
And you're in the city now.
Yeah, I live in an apartment now downtown, so it's pretty cool.
Dude, that's badass.
It's a good experience, man. I'm getting to the point where I'm over it. I do miss the garage a lot, especially when I look back on pictures of all the good times and all the fun shit I did in it.
But you guys are close to everything. When you walk out,
dude, it's super weird, man. It's super weird how when you have that many options of food and that many options of shit to do, you can't figure out it's like Netflix, right?
Oh, totally.
You just sit there, it's like, oh, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but what else is on?
Right.
What else is on? What else? The next thing you know, 30 minutes later, you still haven't just picked. But when you got 5 choices, it's really easy to go, okay, well, it's either pizza, Italian, tacos, or fucking hamburgers. What the fuck?
Right.
We're doing one of each tonight, or we'll go to fucking, cook or something,
That's kind of the way it is out here, though, too, in Chandler and Ahwatukee. You got so many, options out there. But, yeah, Arizona's nuts, man. I was surprised about how much it had rained over the past few days. And I was kind of worried. I know you and I touched base and we were trying to go for Friday, and then you were like, hey, can we do Sunday? I'm like, fuck yeah, we can. It's my birthday. Come out. Let's do this. We'll drink some beers. We'll hang out. And
well, dude, it's like I wanted to leave. I thought about leaving Thursday.
Fuck that.
But it's like there was no way of getting around the rain or all the shit, so I just had to push it off.
I looked on the radar, like on the sonar thing, on the SATCOM thing, you get on the National Weather Service thing. I was like, dude, that's death trap if you're gonna do that. I mean, I know you're hardcore, but that's crazy.
I'm not that hardcore.
But speaking of hardcore, though, you were talking about hooking up with Adam Sandoval. I mean, this guy goes everywhere.
Yeah, so he's doing this thing, and dude, what he does is pretty badass. So plus I really want to get into doing more video type stuff. So just being able to kind of see how he does it, maybe I'm kind of using him or whatever on that aspect, but. I've been talking with some of my friends, man, and like the video stuff just seems like what's really lacking in everything. It lacks in the paint world. It lacks in our motorcycle world. Like we have moto vloggers out the ass, right? Which Adam Sandoval is technically that.
True. Yes.
But his stuff seems like like he has a good thing going, but that's also the formula, So there's like so many of those guys out there that are, putting GoPros on their mouth and running around on their helmets.
Right.
And it's not that each one of them has a following and it's like, I'm not talking shit about it. It's cool. But I don't have enough YouTube time to follow all these dudes that are kind of doing the same thing. So what I like is something a little bit more cinematic, which I'm probably not going to be able to pull this off, but trying to practice getting video and learning how to do that stuff to make short videos and short edits, and then also incorporate it with the paint stuff. So, just trying to find a new way to kind of bring, like, one thing that I talked about on the last podcast we did with Cody Childress, and it kind of like really, not that I figured this out or anything, but I feel like more people are like interested in the lifestyles connected to the things that people do than necessarily what they're doing.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah,
and I think that like showing the lifestyle of, even if it is my dumbass riding a bike in the cold and going to paint a bike.
Well, today was cool because you showed that like on your Instagram and stuff. I was like, oh shit, there you go. Something new. You know what I mean? And that's rad. Like I saw you on there and putting likes on there. I was like, hey, there he is, right on. And you're like, hey man, I'm 600 miles out of Phoenix or whatever. I'll be there at 10 o'clock-ish, whatever. I was like, this is badass. I'm seeing you put that out there.
Yeah.
But then I'm also, because I don't think you texted me until later tonight, but I already knew because I was following you on Instagram and I could see that story.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Instagram? Let me ask you this question. I think as far as like with Paint Huffer, we kind of show the same redundancies. Like, yeah, we're showing us getting orders out the door every night, which is okay, cool, and you can see that. But we want to show like our customers, like, hey, look, we're not fucking around. Like, if you put an order in, we're not Amazon, but fuck you. Like, we're gonna try hard and get your order out immediately and succeed that way.
I think that for certain things, certain companies, like I wouldn't say you're limited, but You know, like, I don't know, man. Like, not to downplay anything, but like, how much more can you show?
Right. I think with me, well, people haven't seen me face to face, so I think what we're going to do is try to get a YouTube thing going.
Yeah.
Where I want to talk to kind of answer some more of these questions, so we don't get the whole thing like, "Hey, man, how do you paint a motorcycle?" Okay,
That's what I was kind of getting at last time we talked. Is I think that with your brand and your connection to all these super talented painters, like, you have enough people that you can kind of go the Coast Airbrush route and bring a lot of content that, you know, all of us are down to help out with. You know,
and
what I mean?
I love how Dave does that. Well, he'll grab people and do that and everything. He's got such a great business model and an amazing company. We're a huge fan. I've been a huge fan. You know what? I was a huge fan of them years back ago, and I called them, and there was a lady that answered a question for me, super sweetheart, super nice, and I was like, you know what? You got my business for the rest of the life. And I think that's something that I've always wanted to push on with Paint Huffer.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, if you call us, we're answering a question. I didn't know shit. This lady had helped me out. She was a super sweetheart, didn't know me from nothing. Helped me out real quick, and I thought, you know what? That's good business right there. But I agree. I think if we start doing some more YouTube stuff,
you know what I think. You know, this, I could be putting my foot in my mouth of this, but with you know, like I said, Coast Airbrush, I've literally bought almost every airbrush I've ever owned from them.
Right on.
You know what I mean? And had them rebuild the airbrushes for me when they were just too far gone.
Yeah,
I spent a lot of money with them over the last 12 years of my airbrush career.
for sure.
And but you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, with the changing times of what's popular in paint work, they don't seem to stay on board with that. So
kind
they
of 2 steps behind.
Or he just like has 3 artists and he fucks with them, for 10, 12 years. I'm like, if your artist doesn't grow with the trends and times,
That's right.
then your company that you're associating yourself with the artist
Become stagnant.
and that's what I feel like has happened with his stuff over the last couple of years.
I agree with you hugely on that. I think there's a couple talents that are on there, and you see them on there consistently.
Dude, was it Rhino? Rhino's a fucking really talented dude.
And he's got the signature Rhino, the Iwata.
But I mean,
I don't know Rhino.
I've never met him either. I know that he's a very well-rounded painter from
but you and I are
graphics to
both
airbrush.
talking about him, and we both know him because that's the consistency that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I think that's something with like us, even like the team paint effort thing. You know, when we first started, I never went to anybody. I didn't go to people and be like, hey, man, will you join my team or whatever? People liked us because I came up with a bunch of funny names for branding. But again, we could talk about that, like, you know, how you and I were talking off air or even tonight. You can have all the funny names in the world, but if your integrity of product isn't there, if it's not solvent proof, it's not there, you know what I mean? It's not, you know, it doesn't do its justice. They're going to be like, okay, yeah, this company's a joke. But once we started getting some, I don't know, some heavy hitters that were coming on board, I was like, whoa, okay. And they're like, dude, I love your flake. It blings harder than this company A, B, C, D, or whatever. You know, we really like you, Brian. We want to give you a shot. I was like, hey, man, I'm welcome to have you. Thank you so much. But one thing I've always told my team, I'm like, look, I'm not a salesman. I'm not going to try to push this on you. If you want to use it, hey, high five. If you don't, I hate salesmen more than anybody else. But I wouldn't keep the same 3 people on my team forever. It's the same thing. Like, I don't want to keep on showing the same thing. You're going to be like, fuck this channel. Let me turn it. You know, this is annoying as hell. And I think, you know, to kind of bring this back around here with Adam Sandoval, I love the fact of what he's doing for his cause. And I like watching his road trips because they're different. He's not going to the same little campground that he's building, or he's not doing the same thing, the, you know, monotony of it.
It really is just his life.
Dude, he's definitely a champ on that level. But in the sense of with you today, I thought that was really cool seeing that. So, yeah, I commend you, dude. I mean, riding 1,100 miles, even plus now that you're going on this extension of this, it'll be cool to see where we're going with you and along with you. And I think that's like, it's like picking up a really awesome book or movie, because you can watch somebody Netflix before you're like, all right, fuck this shit. This is annoying as hell. But I want to see what Jace is doing. I want to listen to this podcast.
Well, you know, a lot of it is just that, you know, doing things and doing this trip alone, you know what I mean? And it's just, I can actually, you know, talk about it. Like, okay, so this is how I felt doing it this way, riding here. this is how I dealt with this. You know what I mean? Because I get
when you ride,
I get 50% questions about paint work and 50% questions about riding bikes cross country.
Oh, sure.
All the time.
When you ride, like when I rode, I rode from here to like NorCal and back. When I do that, sometimes it's like the MotoGP racers when they talk about that. I mean, these guys are going, 200 plus around the track, but they're talking about, or they're thinking about what they're going to have for dinner, what their girlfriends are going to hook up with or whatever, and they're hauling ass. These guys aren't joking around. They got to be, they're switching gears and going through all the motions. But I've heard a lot of MotoGP racers talk about that. They get in their zone. Were you that way today? Were you kind of zone out for a little bit?
Well, I zone out for sure, but the two things I do the most is I try to race the Google Maps
nice
thing. I try to like, okay, I'm gonna knock 15 minutes off of this thing.
Fuck you! I'm gonna be there at 10:51. I'm gonna be there at 9:08. Yeah. Right.
So I do that, and then I equally spend as much time as I can. And I always get pissed at myself too whenever like I start dozing off and thinking about other shit, and I'm like,
that's awesome.
Dude, you're supposed to be looking for cops, right? Because like I watch the cars that are going over the hills in front of me.
Yeah.
And if I see them brake, I'm like, all right, something's over there.
For sure.
So I try to be super aware of everything going on.
And it's weird too because when you're doing 100, you feel like you're just crawling sometimes when you start to slow down. You slow down to the 80?
Like 75, 80. You're like, fuck, man. I'll never get there if I go this speed.
Oh, fuck yeah. It feels like you're just like inching away. You're like, oh, come on. I think, I've looked down before on speedometers and stuff, and I looked down and I'm like, oh, I'm doing 130 to California. And, that's not, oh, I'm doing 130. I'm a badass or showboating or whatever. No, man, you're just going. And you're doing it consistently. It just feels like nothing. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm getting to that age, I think, where like I'll fucking haul ass past cops, dude.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like to the point where not like I'll just like disrespectfully.
No, you're not gonna be like Dukes of Hazzard type.
But like if he's doing 70 and it's a 75 or 80, or dude, I'll straight go 5 over right in front of the cop. Like fuck, do something.
Every cop that I've ever talked to, we had one that was coming out getting tattooed from us a lot, and he pulled up on a Hayabusa one day, and he was like, man, you know what? He goes, I just do not give a fuck. Unless you're doing like, almost close to that 20 over where it's, it's obviously then it becomes, we're the point where we can arrest you.
We got 80, like in West Texas, it's 80 miles per hour.
That's smart.
So
I don't know where the 75 came into play. Why did they give it
75 is better than 65. 65 is a joke.
Well, it used to be when I was a kid, my parents were, we were on the free. We had like the A-Track and the Volkswagen bus, like literally.
Yeah.
We were the drive-ins and stuff. It was 55, or 50 or whatever it was, and that's crazy to think that about how much it's changed and how it's getting up from there. But yeah, riding out that far. So are you going to go on a ride with Adam? Are you guys?
Yeah. You know what? I haven't talked to him yet.
Okay.
So he told me that he was going to be here for basically this Thursday coming up and Friday to do this ride, and he was trying to film it. I think the lead is from like LA or some shit are supposed to be doing it with him.
Nice.
I'm kind of like the third wheel or some shit on this deal. Yeah. But I haven't talked to him, so I don't even know if he's coming. So if he doesn't end up coming out, if it doesn't go through, I'm just going to go see all my friends in SoCal.
Hell yeah.
And
make the rounds.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of time, man, so we got to end up getting back. And I got a lot of work. We got Giddy Up, which is a big bike show in Texas.
Giddy Up is huge.
Fun thing. And then after Giddy Up, like I got like 3 weeks to do my bike.
Okay.
To paint it, do whatever I'm doing to it.
Yep.
And then we have our camp out that we're doing.
And you do that in
Adam Sandoval's campground.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to do it there. Now, did you do it there before?
Yeah.
Okay, you did.
So we've actually got another spot, another prospect spot in South Texas that we want to do. And a good buddy of mine from Michigan actually just set up a spot of his own. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's like the hardest part is like there's not enough time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Especially for up there because it's cold for so long, like from October to April. It's fucking freezing up there, right? In Michigan. So he's only got like May, June, July, August, first part of September to do it. And that's also when Sturgis and all the like Born Free and Laconia and all these big rallies are going on. So we got our trip to Born Free.
Yep.
Which is basically going to be 2 weeks that we're going to be gone. So that means 2 weeks my shop's down. So it means that I got to figure out how to make money to pay the bills while I'm gone.
Get it?
And then
supplement. Yep.
we get back from that, and then all of June or July is just kind of like recuperate, and then Sturgis.
Yeah.
At the so his camp out is gonna be the 20th, I think, and I want to go up there so bad because there's so many cool dudes up in Michigan I want to fuck with and talk to and hang out with. But
that sounds amazing.
If I can swing it, I'm gonna go. But I don't know. It's just tough, man, because then we got Sturgis and
Right.
But it's all the weird thing too is I'm getting to a point where I would rather ride to go hang out with people instead of the events.
Makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit of a loose format and just kind of do like what we're doing tonight. Like we were like, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, fuck anything. Let's just do a loose format. Like, who cares? I mean, we can talk about paint till we're blue in the face and all the other good stuff. But I think stuff like this is also fun to listen to sometimes. Where it's off the cuff and you just kind of go off from there. I think you're right. There's some stuff that I think we're definitely gonna be at Born Free this year as well. So we were talking.
Yeah, man, we were talking about that.
That's gonna be so fucking cool.
What I talked to you earlier about, all that shit's off the table with the other shop, though.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, that was the shop that we ended up.
We'll make some stuff happen.
No, but
I remember.
There's gonna be plenty of badass stuff. I mean, Born Free's gonna be pretty big.
I do know what you're talking about now. What frustrations? That I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a bunch. It's stupid, man.
Fuck it, whatever. Let's do something. I mean, we'll make it happen out there at Born Free. That'd be a fun one to go. Now, you guys are riding to Colorado, or
we're riding through Colorado, northern Utah, San Francisco area.
Gotcha.
All the way down the coast to LA. Then going to Born Free. Then we're going to Vegas, southern Utah, southern Colorado, and home.
And I'm going I-10 straight out, which is where you're going to be going. Well, no, you're going to Vegas though. You're going to Vegas, so you're going to be going to Wickenburg and through all that.
Yeah, I haven't done this trip either. I've never, even though so far today I've just completely spent on the major highway, but it was just because I was trying to make time to get here. Right?
You never driven to Vegas from here?
Not from here. I've always gone 40.
That's what I was saying before. Like, there's a straight road. Like, once you get past, oh my god, maybe Wickenburg, and then going through, I don't even know. There's once you get into Nevada, going up to Vegas is like a straight shot. But
I've done Kingman to Vegas. Or are you talking about something else?
So you have, dude. If you've done Kingman.
Well, yeah, because every time I've ever done it, it was always 40. And you come in, and then you hit Kingman, and you go north.
And you go straight north.
Yeah, and I've done that, but I haven't done from Phoenix at a caddy corner.
Cool. It's cool because you're going to go through Kingman and stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm sorry, you're going to go through Wickenburg. And then it's like rolling hills, dude. Nice. It's a trip, dude. So it's a fun ride. So when you're out there, you're not just on a straightaway, which is okay, I guess. But this one has some. It mixes it up a little bit. Like I said,
there's so many uncertainties about if Adam said I need to call the dude, that basically is what he had. I need to see if he's coming out or not, because I've never been to San Diego before. So I was like, you
need to go.
I have to be home by Tuesday of next week. So if I can record some podcasts with the people I got scheduled and hang out and do just kind of see a lot of friends up there. If I could do that by Friday or by Saturday, and then Sunday wake up and shoot down to San Diego, talk to some other people,
do it,
cut over, hit, and then head back.
I'll be there Sunday. I'm going to be there until Monday. So I leave this Thursday, and then I'm going to meet Manny Cicinero, who we're doing a custom flake with. Manny and I've got some really cool stuff that we're putting together. Meet with him on Friday. And then just my wife and my dog and I, we're going to beach it and just hang out on the beach for the next 3 days and just take a fucking break. We've been pushing.
That's kind of what this is for me, is a break. But I'm working.
And I was sensing that too, because when you said that, you were like, hey, man, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to take off. And I was like, oh, dude, hell yes. And I remember listening to, I think it was the last one too, where you were talking about, it was Joe Kidd. You were talking with him as well. You were like, dude, I just decided I'm just going to go. I need a break.
Yeah,
I need to get out of town for a little bit. I think it's good therapy to do that,
Well, yeah, the break is the riding, man. That's it. The rest of it is really work, though. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's weird. We were actually brought it up. We were talking about putting the podcast stuff behind a paywall. You know what I mean? There's a lot of weird things going on in the radio to podcast world.
Are you talking more sponsors that you're going to be?
No. Well, here's the deal. So
the Patreon.
Well, the Patreon thing is all we have other than the sponsors, right? So the Patreon, it has, since we bitched about it, it's kind of gone up a little bit for us. But There was this really badass podcast that Joe Rogan did with Sam Harris.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I've been a huge Sam Harris fan. I actually read a book once, and it was his.
Right.
You know, when I was questioning God at one point in life.
Sure.
And so he did a podcast with him, and they were talking about how, you know, there's these two different worlds. There's the Facebook world, and there's the Netflix world.
Mm.
All right. So Facebook, you're the product that you're being sold to advertisers.
Right.
The Netflix world, you're buying the content.
Yes.
So it's like two different things. It's like, you know, and he made a good point, because Joe Rogan's podcast is the Facebook way. Like,
right,
you can scroll past the advertisers, or you can listen and see if you want to. It might work for you.
Okay.
Sam Harris is more like, hey, you know, I provide you a content, you know, and it costs time, which if you're an adult, time is money.
Absolutely.
You know,
your time
so,
from your paint gun, your time.
Yeah. So, but you know, then it goes into that other question of, like, you know, people sometimes think like nobody wants to see you get rich. I think that's why a lot of people kind of,
the envy part of it.
Yeah. Nobody like, if I'm sitting here having a life that everybody wants to.
I think that's where people need to get a fucking grip.
Well, it's not so much people, man. I mean, like, the podcast is free, right?
Right.
So
right.
Our listener base goes up, like it's constantly gone up since we started, but you can tell that some listeners come and go, right?
Sure.
Because you can tell when someone's going back, you know, 1 month, all of a sudden 40 people listen to a podcast from April of last year.
Right.
Because, sorry,
It's
that means that a new people are listening to the old stuff, and some, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like
and you're seeing all that analytical data come through.
Yeah, we see all that stuff. So, you know, it's just like I don't see the podcast like for years to come to be something that pays my livelihood, right?
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to ask that. Is that something, like, if I put, so like this trip, I'm doing work, like this bike is making it possible.
Right.
But I'm throwing all these other days on top of it.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people I know that our listeners want to hear from. So it's like,
Sure.
Fuck, man, you Paint Huffer, Ramjet, we're supposed to talk to him tomorrow.
Ramjet, awesome.
Speed King Cycles, fucking, who else? Espinoza Vest.
Yep.
Like, all these people that we're trying to bring on, and people that I know people don't know about, like TOL and stuff like that. Right. So if I can get 10 podcasts out of this trip,
yes,
and I put 10 podcasts out in 1 month,
yep. There's the attraction.
Is that not worth, you know?
It is. It is damn well worth it. It's the same thing that we get to as well. I think people are in the assumption, they're like, oh, we see Paint Huffer's doing really well, so can you go ahead and flow me a couple pounds of flake?
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and flow me this? Can you give me this? And we have this new event that we're going to do tomorrow afternoon in my garage, and we have 3 people coming to it, and can you go ahead and send us like 20 pounds of flake? And I'm like, guys, you don't understand. I hit my alarm clock the same way as you.
Yeah.
I put gas in my car. I come here. I burn the calories through it. We're going to provide you with the best fucking customer service. I sweat my ass off here. But you're not going to see me just, that's why we post every night. You see the orders going out the door. We do that. And I think it's the same thing with your podcast. They see how hard you're working. They see you just traveled 1,100 fucking miles to do this.
Not even that. Like, last week I was, you know, my biggest problem is I have all these really well thought ideas and like shit. Like, I feel like I'm smart in my head, but when it comes to my mouth, it's fucked. Right? I stopped listening to the pod. Like, I used to listen to them over again just to kind of remember what we talked about and like,
right. Yeah,
and stuff. But I stopped being because I would listen to myself stumble over my words. And,
yeah, but you called me in the very beginning. You were like, hey man, do I sound okay? Does it sound fun? I'm like, yes. I think you need that. I mean,
dude, I was legit looking for like classes or something that kind of helps, like some way to help speaking, dude, or some shit.
I think as long as you have great content, you don't fake it,
dude,
you keep it real.
Me, the way I am,
yeah,
I am trying to be the best at everything I do.
Right.
Not in a way that like, you know, I'm aggressive about it, but if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to try to I'm trying to put the best that I possibly can out there. So
yeah.
You know,
oh, there's no skimping. I mean,
yeah.
You and I both know that with companies, anything we do, I think we definitely have that mentality. You and I, that's you want to. Oh yes, you want to start a company, a metal flake company, go ahead. But here, I'm going to be up at 3:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
Making it even. Go ahead, do it. More than welcome to. You want to start another podcast about motorcycles? High five, do it, man. You want to do whatever you can do. I didn't really saw myself as competent. I wasn't competitive when I grew up. Like I skated and everything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, oh, I'm a better boarder than you. I'm a better surfer than you. Like I didn't give a
Yeah,
shit.
but it wasn't even that. Like
I was just hitting
like
the
when I
ground running.
skated, like
Yeah.
and the people I hung around
Fun.
that were good, I was competitive and I wanted to be able to do that.
Right. You're in competition with yourself.
Yeah. So it was
Seriously.
more. Yeah.
You know what I mean? For real. Like I was like, I gotta get this. I gotta be able
Yeah.
to do this. I gotta get fear has to get out of my fucking body and I've gotta be able to do this. Like this trick has to happen. And I know I'm sweating balls and I've got to push forward, but it's the old thing. Like once you do it, you go forward, you go forward. But you did this podcast and now look where you're at. You know what I mean? Like all those things you were thinking about early in the day, dude, your podcast is on fire right now. So I think when you talk about the monetary value to pay to listen to that, fuck yeah. I mean, in a heartbeat. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man.
Well, we also got to find like there's ways you can monetize podcasts, like through the people, and that's what I was trying to get at earlier. I got off track, but like iHeartRadio and all these other big companies like that bought a shit ton of podcast hosting platforms.
Okay.
So the hosting platform that I use, I don't think was bought, but I use that, and there is a button on there that I can click, and I can monetize the podcast on the back end. Okay. Which means that if you were listening to this podcast, randomly it would stop and go, "Hey, have you tried Bounty Thick and Soft?"
Oh, gotcha. Just like what we see on the Facebook videos.
Yeah, it would like YouTube.
YouTube, precisely.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. But on a podcast, you can't like wait 3 seconds and click. You have to listen to it.
Oh man. So
I don't do that. So you know what I mean.
So where you need to make your money is off the Patreon.
It's off Patreon and or sponsors. If you were gonna do a paywall thing, so like say, which we're not gonna do this, but we were really looking into it just to see what the benefits were. But if you did a paywall where it's like $1 per podcast or $5 a month, and we whatever. So if you do it that way, then it's like fuck, we wouldn't need sponsors anymore. Right. But so the flip side to it is that when we looked into doing that, everybody that offers the services to make that possible, they want 50%. I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, that's
50% is like fucking straight mafia shit, dude.
That's straight up fucking. Yeah,
that's like saying, all right, so like this month, I guarantee, like this month is going to be our first 10,000 download month, right? So last month it was like 9,500 downloads. This month it's already like damn near there. So.
Right on.
So 10,000 downloads. So that means that 10,000 times a podcast was listened to, right? So if I was to do the $1 per podcast thing, that's $10,000. Yeah. Right? Right. So if that was happening, that would be the deal would, that company would take 5,000 of that. Yeah.
That's
like, what the fuck?
Bullshit. Yeah, there's no way, dude. That's like PayPal type rape shit right there.
That's worse than PayPal.
Yeah, that's way worse than PayPal.
Yeah, so I was like, I started looking at that and I was like, fuck no.
That's a huge negative.
Like I would have expected to lose listeners because of the paywall thing, and then to give 50% away to somebody that, just all they did is provide the service. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, so we're just trying to I'm trying to show people what that's partly what this trip was about. I'm trying to show them what their Patreon's doing. Their Patreon's making things possible.
And I'm so
I need to buy new mics, man. These mics are fucking getting beat up from being in my bike all the time.
Yeah, I'm surprised you with that, because I thought about that even today. I was like, how the fuck is he gonna do? I'm like, oh, he must have his laptop and he must have the equipment that he brought last time as well, which was packable. You put it in your bag and you're good to go. But yes, the Patreon. How does that work? How can people fund this? I mean, I think this is smart for us to even branch into this and talk about this.
Our website obviously has a link on it, and go to that. And Patreon, they take money. You know what I mean? They charge for their services, obviously.
Sure. But what do you pay? I mean, you pay a couple bucks, and then
no, it's a percentage.
Okay.
So if I make $500 a month off the Patreon, then there's there could be $100 to them. Jesus. It's not as bad as 50-50.
50-50, right.
But it's still,
Gosh, yeah.
Everybody's
not bad. Yeah.
Everybody's got to make put it like this: the people that have the ideas, that have the funding to start the businesses, the ones that make the money. You know what I mean?
Right.
But no, it's all good. Like it's growing. Like I'm impatient. That's all there is. I'm impatient. I invest so much of my attention to things, and I want to. This is the only thing that I don't get to see a return under my control. You know what I mean? Right. Like I have to just try to keep doing a good job and like hope people like it, as opposed to I know what looks good with a paint job or building a bike, so I know what to do to make that happen. So I have more control over that outcome as opposed to this. You know what I mean? So
right. You and I were talking a while back ago about maybe getting a spot there in Dallas and doing like a nice showroom.
I want to so bad. That's my dream right now.
That's something that you should do. I think that's something because you've got the paint, you've got the podcast, and maybe that's something that you could build that would be where people would, like the old saying, like if you build it, they will come. Well,
that was a big reason why we were thinking about doing the paywall thing because, if it wasn't 50%,
oh yeah,
then like if I was making $5,000 a month off the podcast, I could afford to get a showroom studio type deal.
Hell yeah.
And I could like the reason, like we have certain people that asked about doing like a video, right? The problem with video is that it's more equipment, and this equipment isn't the kind of equipment you want to load in your fucking saddlebag and go across the country. So you want to set up a studio setup,
right? So that just
like Joe Rogan's, where he goes in, sits down, hits record, and shit's on.
And you're good to go.
Right. And so we thought about doing that with the encompass of also doing like videos like painting helmets and working on bikes and like just a complete,
So what do you think about Phoenix? You guys want to move out here?
It's too saturated.
Get Britta. Dude, tell me about it, man. This is like, it's crazy how much the city's grown. They were like,
if it was like warm here right now, while it's freezing everywhere else, I'd be like, oh, okay, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But then it's also going to be the hottest place in the world here in about 4 months.
Fuck yeah, it will be. But I think that we did our last podcast too. It was like 114, 118 out that day.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it does get hot. It gets hot as fuck. But like anything, you walk indoors. You're, there. I ride usually, 4 in the morning till about 6 in the morning. If I can get on the bike and just, rip around for a minute and take a break. And I'll go through the hills and whatnot, and it's nice. It's not that bad. I mean, I don't know. I come from the beach, and I come from growing up with amazing weather all the time. But there's a price you pay living close to that. There's no way. I mean, this isn't the 1970s anymore. I can't live 2 blocks from the beach.
There is out here, there is a lot more of the content that people want to hear from on the podcast. But the good thing about Dallas or just in Texas is that it would be a destination. Like, I don't know if it would really be a destination that much here. Like with Dixon Flannel, what they used to have with their warehouse, it was a spot. Like they had a skate ramp, they had parties, they had events, they had this, they had that.
That's where our shop was right across the street.
Yeah.
I mean, we could throw a football and hit his door to my door.
So now he doesn't have. It's still a dope ass shop, but he took a lot of that more party atmosphere out of the shop, and now it's just shelves.
After that first party, we were there too. And I didn't know you then, but with Ramjet, and you had what is his name? Jeff Holt. Jeff was super rad dude from Hot Bike when he was with Hot Bike as well. But yeah, our shop was right next door. I mean, we were there for years on that. But the problem with that was landlords.
Yeah.
Landlords the police shut that.
Yeah, they shut that party down
quick and doing all that. So yeah, that was kind of a big negative. But out here, it's very hard to find spots. And it took me about 8 months before I could move into this spot here in Chandler. We looked around and it was like Specialized Bicycles was helping us out, and it was rad, and I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, let's get a spot. Let's get it going. And my landlord was like, hey, look, you can't stay here anymore off of 5th Street, but where Dixon was. Somebody had just bought that plaza and they didn't want a paint shop in there. They didn't want the fumes, going into like the jazzercise place next door or whatever. They were like, fuck that. The new owners were just, they didn't see it. And I was like, well, look, you know what? I've been here for 5-6 years. I've had 3 shops in this plaza. I pay my rent on time, every time, all the time. I'm that guy, like, where if I owe you money,
that's what happens with the paint shops. That's what happened when I was trying to rent a place. I was like, look, we do a fancy paint. Like we're not the body
we're not
shop
production.
with fucking bumpers sitting on the side of the shop.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Right. And
Like-
that's what I try telling them too.
And
They're
they just, you say
right.
paint, they
It's
check
huge.
out.
Paint and tattoo, same
Yeah.
things. Finding those real estates, I'm so fortunate in Casa Grande, where I have my shop, Aces and Eights. Aces and Eights is on the Florence Boulevard, which is in the main part of town. We're just a fishbowl. Like we're on the main strip, and it's
Mhm.
great. We've been there for 9 years now in that little spot. I've had 3 other shops in that town. It's been awesome. Like I love that. But here, I feel that I'm in a good centralized spot, but I still like my goals going forward. I do want to open up an actual.
Like
Jobber.
jobber. Yeah.
I want to get a paint shop going where we have the mixing banks and get that way, and we're set up in that way too. But I want to branch out and start doing multiple paint shops.
So like you
Build it.
need more people like you to run that thing.
Fuck, dude, I wish. It's crazy. My wife, God bless her. Like when we first got married, she was working as an accountant, and then she came to me and was like, "Well, hey, do you think you can get me a job into, be an engineer and working on semiconductors?" And I was like, "Yeah, just go to school, and I'll definitely get you in with the company that I was working with before." And I can't say it just because privacy, corporate privacy, but it's a major company. Everybody has their computer chip in their
Yeah.
computer, so it's whatever. But she graduated, and then she graduated from aerospace and became a rocket scientist. You know what I mean? And I was like, holy fuck, like here
Yeah.
we go. So there's a lot of opportunities out here for her as well, in this industry from there. But it's crazy, man. Like Arizona's definitely got some great stuff going on, but we work so much. My wife and
Y'all
I
have a
hardly
state
ever-
tax here too?
We do have a state tax.
Yeah.
Yep. I think right now, in Phoenix, it's like 8.5%, and it's somewhere around there. Do you guys have it in Texas?
We don't have state tax.
Oh, dude. Florida doesn't either.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at buying house. I think I was telling you that. 'Cause I
Yeah,
was
you
gonna
were
ride out
you were
there.
going to go to Florida, yeah.
I'm still thinking about it because,
Texas is where it's at, man. You're in the middle
dude,
of the country.
I love Texas. Though.
Dude, I'm
Love
secretly
Texas.
just trying to get all my people to move to Texas.
I would fucking love to be there. And I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, so I know there's a lot of Dallas Cowboys haters. Y'all can fuck off. But I've been a Dallas Cowboys fan since day one. My next door neighbor when I was a little kid played for Dallas. So that got me hooked on them and whatever. But yeah, I've always been a big fan of Texas. There was a lot of semiconductor companies out there that I used to go visit back in my engineering days. I think it would be amazing. And my wife too, just Houston, obviously.
Yeah.
It's aerospace, so it could happen. But that's where I was asking you though too. But it's like, it seems like there's a lot of growth. I remember sitting in Maricopa and watching the TV, and CNN News came on. They were like the 2 growths right now in America that are growing up for housing growths was Maricopa, Arizona, and Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Supposedly Houston, Texas is the 3rd biggest city in the United States now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I got to
Now,
piss real quick.
Yeah, you have the I-45, right?
Yeah. I got to go piss real bad. Going. No, yeah, we were talking about the housing market in Houston and all that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It is definitely, it's got to be growing up big time down there. When I saw that on the news on CNN, they were talking about how it's like, is it the I-45 that goes through Texas?
Yeah, I-45 is the connection from Houston to Dallas.
Okay.
And then it dies right there.
So you have new growth that's coming on like the outside of like where
Dallas is growing big.
Okay.
Dallas is growing. Austin, everything, and that's why we have so much construction with our roads because our cities are growing so much. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't know, man. Like it's.
Are you going to stay out there? You guys?
I
are
don't
you thinking
fucking
about
know,
it?
dude.
Or do you want to move?
I want to. I want to make good decisions. That's really it.
Well, welcome to the fucking party.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody does. Obviously, I think you've been making some great decisions. I think when we just hit this break here a second ago, we were talking about the growth of your podcast and the Patreon and how cool that is, and you have all the support in the world. That's something to be moving
trying to
forward.
build like a I think the scary thing about being in business is having ideas that you're like, you have real faith in,
Yep.
but then you're just kind of like you're kind of stuck with them. Like you don't really have the capital to kind of invest in them.
Right.
And earlier we were talking about this, but to me it's so much like it's not so much money that I don't have, it's time.
Right.
You know, it's like think about all the cool ideas of all the things you want to do,
Sure.
and the only thing keeping you from being able to do a good job at them is like investing time in it because you have so much shit going on. It's like it's fucking crazy, man. Like I got so many ideas and so many things I want to do, and you know, I have like my buddy Jason from Florida. Like we text all the time about shit. You know, I'm like, dude, let's do this, let's do that. I'm like, fuck, oh yeah, I don't have time to do that.
Right. Which is money.
Or just people that like, you know, when I talked about the paint shop that I used to work for when I grew up into this stuff, the Other Side Customs, and I've always said like I wish I could find a guy that was me,
right?
Because the flip side to me is that I was a loyal ass dude to that shop, and as long as he took care of me, I was gonna be there.
And like Flynn,
yeah. And it was only because he didn't take care of me that I'm on my own. That's the only reason everything that I have exists, you know?
I remember listening to those too, man. And like, I think you have those work ethics. I mean, you grew up in the similar type of situation as me and just, you know, whatever. You had your childhood and you move on and your work ethics. Are we still good?
Yeah, we're good.
So bump it in. But no, man, I'm proud of you. I mean, you're definitely on fire and you're kicking ass. I think as far as doing other stuff, I think sometimes in our head, we kind of, and I get the same way with like Paint Huffer. I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do this next step. I got to do this one next step. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe we just keep on focusing on what we're doing is working.
Yeah.
And the wheels are working. And what you're doing with this fast life is working too, where maybe, I don't know. I mean, we're definitely two peas in a pod where we're like, we want to grow and we want to succeed and we want to give the consumer the best possible thing in the world. And it's what drives us. I mean, I know, you know, like we talked a little bit about Danny Dixon. I'm sure that dude never sleeps. I hardly get sleep sometimes, you know, staying up answering customer questions or emails and stuff like that. But dude, at the end of the day, I'm fortunate just to have this and I want to see it grow and produce. And I know you do too. I see you doing something in definitely your Dallas area though. Like we had talked about even months back when you came here to Arizona with your daughter and you were talking about maybe doing something, I don't know, maybe in the sense of where our friend Jared has it with Valley Customs, you know, having something like that, dude. I could see you really kicking ass at that and really progressing, having a nice showroom, having something because you know,
dude, I don't want to be dirty anymore. That's the biggest thing.
I understand that. Well, and you know, and your health is going to get to that point too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I look at it.
That's the biggest thing.
People ask me all the time, they're like, "Well, can you paint this? Can you do this? Can you do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can." But in 4 years from now, I'm going to be 50 fucking years old, which is just mind blowing in a sense from there. And I don't know what is whatever, but I just think, you know, I'm very appreciative of what I have here, and I'm very thankful for what I have. I'm the same way, man. I don't stop. My head keeps on ticking and it keeps on going on there. But maybe sometimes, like, if it was to all go away, I wouldn't regret anything. I'd be like so blessed and honored that I had all this, and that when I passed away someday, that people would look back and be like, "Hey, remember that paint company? Or remember what they did?" And, you know, same thing they're going to do with this podcast, and the same thing they're going to do with your artwork. Your artwork's going to live on for all the years and then to come, right? So. It's pretty cool that way.
When I would talk to like painters, like say for instance, Shorty from you know Martin Brothers, all them.
Yeah.
And you just like he worked his ass off. He bought a house and property and land, and he invests his money right.
Exactly.
I did my shit the ghetto way, right? I got money and I bought fucking rims and bikes. And fucking shoes.
Yeah. No, I heard you talking about big wheel stuff. Are you thinking about going back into that? Or are you touching back? You're not touching back?
No. I took a couple paint jobs in, and one of them already fell through. It was a fucking dude.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Don't get me started on these guys.
Just
give an inch, and they fucking take a mile, dude.
Right.
I know there's, I mean, Kyle kills it, you know. Execution. He kills it on the big wheels.
Sure.
My buddy Jason Vanderwoos, like a lot of people are doing it, but I don't. All these, there's only like so many shops in the country that are like on a big level, right?
Right.
And it seems like all of them are full of shit. I don't know, man. No matter what I say, it sounds fucked up. But basically, it's like I could do more for them by them coming to me to a paint job than they can do for me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
sure. No, I follow you.
Like some shops don't even like they just don't have much like traction.
Right.
Or the ones that do have traction, like it's dude. Social media is like on one hand making things better, and one hand making things worse. Because now you have this financial aspect of what it costs to actually do business, but then you got this social media financial aspect that everybody's trying to play their social media card. Like, oh well, I can get you. It's the new friends, right? Hey man, paint this bike for me. I got a bunch of friends.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now I get to see. Now I get to see all the friends, right? I get to, oh shit, this dude does have a lot of friends.
Does have all these people that he can back up and work on the, yeah, no, I'm with you.
It's a weird, I don't know, man, it's weird.
So do you want to get out of the paint aspect of it and get more into like doing the actual, you know, like you said, have a facility to do a podcast out of? And
I want the facility like a
showroom type.
The showroom
Yep.
studio thing with the lift, with the art table. And I want to, no, I don't know how to do all that shit. No, nothing mechanical like that.
Okay.
I got Mark for that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
More like that whole Joe Rogan studio just for us motorcycle painter gearhead guys and shit, you know?
Do it.
And but then that showroom to when you walk if you're coming through Dallas, you're like, man, we gotta stop at the Fast Life Garage. You know, and you know, it's a place you can go and visit and see what's up. Like, hey man, I fucking listen to your podcast, or hey, I follow you on Instagram, or whatever the fuck it is, right?
Right.
Like just something like that. But it costs a lot of money to build something nice like that. And the flip side, like, you know, if you're gonna take an investor in on something like that, it's like it's really hard to figure out.
Yeah, do you want to be in somebody's pocket?
I don't mind having investors, man. Like I don't mind having investors, and I don't mind having partners as long as I respect and they, you know what I mean. It's a respect thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But
and their work ethics are gonna prove it. You know,
yeah,
bring some blind investor in or something.
Yeah, I would never take you know, last year or like around May last year, April-ish, I was really looking for an investor for some certain things. And the thing is, like, I would never take money unless it was for a way that they can get paid back. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So my ideas was like, all right, well, if we do this business plan, then this is where you can get paid back.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
Because obviously I don't want to take like 50 grand for somebody and then have to do the same amount of work that I'm doing now, but pay back 50 fucking grand. Like,
yeah, fuck that.
If I'm taking money in, it's taking money on a new source of income.
Right.
So you're helping jumpstart this new source of income that's going to pay you back. And eventually it's either paying you back to something you wanted, like a finite amount, or a percentage. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And you know, with this idea that I have, I don't know how, you know, because this podcast world, this media world is so, you know, new. It's hard to put a value on it to say, okay, I need 50 grand to do this, this, and this, and this is what we can expect. Like, it's hard to make a business plan off that.
Let me ask you this: what made you decide to do the podcast? Because I don't think anybody's really
fucking talk too much, dude.
Well, yeah, you and I both. But, I mean, was that something like? How did you get into? Were you just watching Joe Rogan?
No, it was Danger Dan and FXR Mike. You know, Dan had me on his podcast, and he got me into podcasts.
Great podcast, yeah.
And then Mike, FXR Mike, was just a you know, he's a good friend that was, you know, suggested it.
Yep.
And then you know, we just kind of tried it, you know. It worked out good. I mean, so far it's been good, but you know, like,
oh, it's huge.
It's been helpful for us just because of like the relationships I've made over the years.
Right.
And being able to like have the clout to walk into certain places and be like, hey, you know, let's do a podcast. And it's like, so like the first, like, I mean, we first got going, like we had nothing but pretty big names on there, you know?
Well, you started out of the bang with Simpson helmets, wasn't it? That was the first one that was right out of the gates. So, I mean, dude, yeah, you were hitting hard, you know. And then when you came to me, you were like, hey man, I'm doing a podcast. I'm like, get the fuck out. Makes sense. Do you see, I think you touched on base on this on another podcast. I think people would rather listen to a podcast than maybe watch some cheesy ass Netflix or try to find some. You're going to spend a good 10, 15 minutes sitting at home on your couch, flipping through Netflix or flipping through Hulu or trying to look at Amazon Prime. I'd rather be interested in playing this. And I see a lot of people that hit us up on Paint Huffer. They're like, hey, man, I heard you on this, and I'm listening to this today in my shop. It's so much more acceptable being in a podcast. I listen to it in my truck. I listen to it wherever I'm at. Like today, hiking, I had my earbuds in. I'm listening to, some that you did in the past, And it's just, I have such an obsession for motorcycles and paint that I'm all about this shit.
What I love about podcasts is just the aspect of like either learning something or seeing into some world that I'm not a part of.
Right.
So like when I listen to the podcast, like I have my Joe Rogan shit for, whatever he's got on. I got, my Theo Vaughn and, the Fighter and the Kid for like, I just want to laugh.
Right.
And then I got other podcasts for different things that I want to like be interested in.
Absolutely.
Podcasts are just, they're young and, like I was saying earlier, like there's a lot of people spending a lot of time on it. So a lot of big companies are seeing how much attention is being put into something, and they're trying to find out how to make money off of it. And it's a scary thing for certain people, And the other thing is like with even Show Class magazine just finally said they're done, and that was like I like that magazine a lot, dude.
I used to write for them.
You did?
I did a couple articles for them. I wrote 2 different articles in 2 different issues. They had contacted me and they said, "Hey, Brian, can you touch base with me? You're the painter." They actually had a thing that was called
it was like Flake the World or something.
Flake the World. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. So Billy had hit me up and he said, "Hey, look, I want to talk to you, man. Can you go ahead and write an article for me for this issue and whatnot?" And I thought, wow, what a great magazine. But the longevity of that. I mean, do we see that magazines are even going to be around much more? I mean, like now to have yourself on a cover of a magazine is still, nice. It's great.
It's better now.
Yeah,
because it's very
rare.
It's not going to happen very much longer.
Hot Bike is gone.
Hot Bike's gone. Show Class. I was kind of like, that was the one I was really hoping that would stick around because their shit was a lot more
fucking cool.
It was a lot more gritty and edgy, and it was that magazine that you only knew about.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's very well said. I think that's awesome. But I mean,
so with all these things going under, especially like think about whoever owned Hot Bike, right?
Right.
They saw that they lost their magazine readership to social media, and they're losing their attention span to podcasts. How long before one of them takes $25,000 and pays Carrie Hart or somebody $10,000 an episode to do a fucking podcast, and he's going to get thousands of listeners because he's Carrie fucking Hart, and he's probably way better talker than Jace Hudson is. That's for damn sure. So it's like the scary. I guess it's not scary. Like I'm like worried about anything, but it sucks to like invest so much of your life and stuff into something, and then these big corporations come along and just kind of like,
Right. I feel you on that immensely.
It's easy to have a cult following, I guess.
It is. I think so.
It's easy to have that, or it's not easy, but it's you can get that. But a cult following is still like, I love Tool. Tool has a cult following for their music.
Me too.
But guess what? Bruno Mars sells out way bigger than Tool does. You know what I mean? So Bruno Mars is getting paid. You know what I mean?
Bruno Mars. I've got some funny stories about that dude. He used our flake on some of his props in his concerts. Now, I'm the Tool guy. I grew up with punk and listening to reggae and stuff like that. I have a lot of respect for Bruno. I think he's an amazing musician. I'll leave it at that. But I think that the podcast is in the hot seat right now, where it's the to-go thing. I see a lot of these companies doing it. I found one the other night with Joe Rogan and Alex Honnold. I hope I'm saying his name right. He was just this kid who climbed a fucking cliff or a mountain without any safety gear.
Oh, Free Climber?
Free Climber,
yeah.
Thank you. And it was a movie. I actually bought the movie, but I went into that and bought that. But
Is it a recent podcast?
It was a recent podcast. This was back 4 months ago.
Okay,
is what it was, and
I think I remember seeing it post. I didn't listen to it
it's
though.
amazing. Let me ask you this: what do you think about doing a documentary? This is something that I talked about with Danny D, and I have a film crew right now. I have a kid that I just brought onto the Paint Huffer staff, and you guys would like start to see this guy more and more and more as I bring him in here. Ian was 16 years old when he graduated from ASU.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up in Spain. He's this kid who's just amazing, bilingual. Graduated ASU from the Herberg Theater. He has a film degree at 16 years of age.
Mm.
Wanted to do a documentary with me, and we were talking about doing a documentary on the paint world and maybe doing something in that aspect of it. But I think stuff like that is fun. I would want to watch it on Netflix, or I would want to watch it on whatever. I have my friends who are part of the Unknown Industries, and they have something that they produce, and Netflix coming from there. Do you see yourself doing something like that to where we can maybe get into the documentary or more of some other film part of it? We talked a little bit about YouTube.
I think that there's a big opportunity for film, but
because nobody's done a documentary on lowriders and the scene and everything like that. I mean, there's been
there's a lot of things
movies,
like
Hollywood,
like our scene, like maybe not some, maybe the paint, like even the paint scene, it's just not big enough to gather the masses.
Okay.
I think that if like a well done documentary could get the masses,
I think so too.
but that's the gamble that somebody's gonna have to invest in that stuff to kind of like put out the production to see if it does anything. It's the same thing like when they did 21 Days Under the Sun, it was a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
even the biker build off, when you have Hugh King who would come in there and they do, hey, this person against this person.
Yeah.
I think that they were trying to do that with painters for a little bit, trying to go like, hey, check this out. Because I've seen some Instagram, pages that were doing that. They were like putting up painters against painters. And what do you think this paint job is against this paint job? And trying to build some hype that way to where there was some competition level, which I don't know. I don't know if that would fly or not. But I think having a paint off or something like that as far as a TV show may be cool, maybe not. I don't know. I think anything that'll promote the industry. I'd rather do, what I want to do is definitely a documentary about this time in our life, because what a cool niche that we have here.
Yeah.
We're in a custom paint world. It's the baggers. It's everything that we have in this. It's this, doing the podcast right now. I don't know, man. I think it's a pretty cool timestamp of life to do this. We should definitely put this on film. We talk about
there's a lot of good opportunities to put shit on film, man. It's just,
should we do it?
no, yeah.
I think we should.
People should do stuff like that. Trust me, if I got like 6 movies wrapped up in my head. It's just I don't have the time or the money to fund this shit.
Right. Exactly. That's
so
the hard part
it really is that, man. Like with the paint world, there's so much. I think the hardest thing about if you're doing a documentary on the paint world, like where do you start? Where do you focus?
The roots, and there's so many variables.
The roots are hard to like. The roots are so fucking. There's so many different sides of this tree.
Mm-hmm.
Which roots?
Mm-hmm.
You want to go. What's Don from fucking that works at Valley Customs that did the lowrider back in the day, or do you
Denny
go?
and I talked about him too. Actually, I talked to Jared about that too, about getting him in there, and he's always in the shop and hanging out and everything like that too, which is great. I mean, he's the historian. He's the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One of the OGs. So you got that, or you got your Von Dutches and your Ed Ross, and then you like fast forward 20, 30 years, then you get your 90s airbrush guys like Craig Frazier and all these things that come up from the lowrider world with like Danny D and Bugs and fucking who else was Fonzie started doing murals back in the day. So there's like so many different types of roots that you really would have to
make it a series.
It would either have to be a series or it would have to be a documentary based on 5 or 6 different genres of paint.
Let's do it. There's a will, there's a way. I mean, I don't know. It's something that I've been definitely thinking of. And as far as the next step, if people want to know that about where my brain is taking, and I think, we were talking today about you, like if you zone out and you think about that, your options about when you're writing and, different things. You want
See, those things like that, like to me, I think of shit like that too. But I think about that like in a more passion thought, like, oh man, it'd be so sick to have this kind of, like, if the world could just see what I see.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I follow you.
And it's like, for like the first hour of that thought, it's just pure like, fuck, this would be sick if I could figure out how to do this.
Right.
And then you start getting into the mechanics of it, and you're like, okay, how much is this going to cost?
Right.
And then you go down this rabbit hole of like, okay, what? Then it becomes a money thing.
It does.
And then, well, fuck, it's going to cost this. Well, I got to make money for my time. And it fucks it all up. You know what I mean?
It does, right. Yeah, you could have somebody paying your bills and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm with you, man. And Paint Huffer eats up, 180% of my time. There's no doubt about it, and I love that. I think that there's...
So that's why I was wanting to do that storefront.
I think
because if the storefront was to work the way I wanted to, that I'd have the storefront would sell shit. So we would have Paint Huffer flakes, we have Dixon flannels, we have Simpson helmets, we have a lot of other niche-based things that people, could get at the store. You know what I mean?
Centralized.
And then with the podcast and with, painting on a much smaller scale than what I do now, like doing 1 or 2 helmets a month, also video recording the complete, custom paint job on a helmet for people to watch on YouTube or whatever is also part of that. So we would actually be able to make money on YouTube making these videos.
Sure.
The money we would make doing podcasts, and the money we make selling the shit through the counter would be the way that we pay our livelihood and pay the shop. Like that's what I want to do. But I can't, with the Patreon thing, like, not to go back too far deep on that, but if you have, if you're making $1,000 a month or $5,000 a month, and then all of a sudden you do one thing wrong and you say one thing wrong on your podcast, and people leave and you're down to 3,000, but that money is there to help pay the rent of this storefront that makes all this other shit work.
Right.
Like that's a scary thing to kind of like bank on,
I think people like yourself, when you took that leap and you just said, hey, fuck this, I'm going to do a podcast, there wasn't a lot of worrying about, failure.
Well, there wasn't a lot of...
Or were you?
No, if you think about what I just said a while ago about the video thing, that's kind of how this podcast started. At first, it was like, "Hey, this would be fun. We already talk," and then it was like, the more deep you thought about it, the more you thought about time, and then you started associating okay, at some point in my life of doing this podcast, it has to make money.
It has to. Yeah, that's what that Patreon really needs to focus into play. Yeah.
So it's like all that stuff that you start doing. It's like. It's the same thing. Like, yeah, I think the documentary thing would be dope, even if it was just a web series of, 30 to an hour each about different genres. Same thing. Like, dude, I want to do all this shit. It's so fun.
And the way that I was talking to Danny about it too was that somebody needs to timestamp this, just the same way that you're timestamping these podcasts, and you have all these major people that you have on your podcast. It has to be done. And I'm not talking about from a money standpoint for anything. I mean, just for history, just so we can look back at this in another 30 years or whatever and say, damn, dude, like, look what we did. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't sit on our ass. You rode 1,100 miles across the whole entire states. Yeah. You made
or just that people can always go back and see what was the the topic of the conversation of 2018 or 19 or whatever the case may be. So. Yeah.
It's cool.
It's like you ever go back and listen to a Joe Rogan podcast from like when he first started?
Fuck yeah.
And
how rough he was about it too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where it reminds me a lot about yourself too, because it just the way that you talk and the way you enunciate and the way that you say things, or if you say
I got like 6 really nice words that I use every once in a while. I don't even know what they mean.
All the intellectual words that you pull out of I don't know, man. It's awesome. It's an awesome time and place in life. And I think it's cool that we have this opportunity to do all this. As far as the rest of this trip, you're going to be out tomorrow making the rounds, and you're going to go to Las Vegas, right? So
I'm gonna try to spend. Hopefully, I'll wake up. My goal is to wake up around 7. It's 12:30 now, so hopefully get up around 7 or 8.
Yep.
Get out of the hotel by 9.
Okay.
Schedule a podcast with another place by 10. Try to keep it, around 2 hours.
For sure.
Unless it's a one of those conversations. You just let it go.
Yeah.
And then I want to go see that new Buddy Stubbs Harley dealership.
Dude, Buddy Stubbs.
Yeah.
That is a fucking place, dude. That is. I'm a huge Evel Knievel guy. Like, as you see, like I've got all Evel Knievel stuff up here in the shop and whatnot. I was able to meet Evel. He was actually pulled away on an ambulance right out of Buddy Stubbs. He was doing a signing years ago, and he had pneumonia. And he actually passed away a few weeks later. So I don't know. I slid into home base. I was able to meet my hero, and got to shake his hand and whatnot. But that place is a museum. It has bikes everywhere. It's just, I think it's one of the better Harley dealerships that I've seen in a long time. I mean, they definitely do it right.
Yeah.
I would definitely make a trek up there.
So I was going to try to stop by there and see them.
Yep.
And then just make it to Vegas before the sun goes down. I don't want to drive anymore at night. It's cold.
Yeah, it's got to be very, very cold. Are you doing anything else as far as like, we talked about like other sponsors. Do you have anybody else that's coming on?
Not yet. I mean, I'm putting it out there, but I don't know. I'm trying to fucking like be more professional with that shit now. You know?
Well, you do with Simpson. Like you wear the Simpson helmets and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know
like
how to reach out to them. Like I have a good friendship with them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
You know what that is. You friends and everything's cool. You don't want to like put money involved sometimes, but
yeah, that can kind of make it.
But also like Simpson is a company that is more directing people to go to their dealers, and so it would either be like just the mention type sponsorship or the call to action type sponsorship. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
so if it's call to action, then that's directing people to their website or whatever the case may be. Well, I'm a Simpson dealer, so why don't I just direct them to my? You know what I mean? It's a weird.
What helmets do you wear of theirs? I know I called you the other day. I was freezing my ass off.
I got the Ghost Bandit and the modular, which is.
How do you like the modular?
Man,
what a trip, dude!
I dig it.
It reminds me of like a Japanese type helmet.
When I hear people's like opinions on helmets, like I won't say that they're not valid, but I'm like, what the like. People are like, oh, I want a helmet that just like that blocks the noise from the outside in. I'm like, bitch, you need a car. Like I want to hear what's like even today, like I was like I'm riding 1,100 miles. Like,
right.
You think you hear something like different about your bike? Like you're like, okay, what the fuck was that?
Right.
I don't want my helmet to block out whatever that might be.
Fuck no.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe it sounds like I'm just an advocate for whatever, but right. I don't have a Bell helmet. I don't have another helmet from somebody else, so I don't know what to compare it to. I don't have a Shoei, and it's been over 10 years since I wore a Shoei. Yeah, so I know Shoeis are nice, but I haven't worn one in so long. I don't know how much quieter it is or this or that.
I'm a firm believer I don't care what brand it is. You put it on, if it fits you well, and if it's comfortable for you, then wear it. If you like it, wear it. But in the same sense of it too, like I'll ask you, opinions. I'm saying, hey, look, you're obviously putting the miles in and putting the calories in every night. What are you going to wear? I wear a Ghost Bandit as well, and I think we were talking the other night, like covering your neck and stuff when you're out there in the cold is crucial. I'm a retard where I'll hop on a bike and go without thermals or wearing Dickies like I am tonight.
When it was 20-something degrees.
Oh, fuck.
Actually, not when it was 20. When it was like in the 40s still,
right? I
passed dudes on their bikes. They had fucking like German-style helmets on and nothing on their face.
Jesus.
So I don't give a fuck. The helmet is better than that.
Right.
So, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it's like everything, man. A helmet is like going to be specific. So some Simpson helmets don't fit certain people's heads. Mm-hmm. Some people's heads might fit better in a Shoei or in a Rye or a fucking Bell.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the thing is that you get people that get online and talk shit about something because it didn't work for them. But it's a creature of comfort, or it's a fitment issue, not a design or an issue with the actual product.
Exactly.
Like, you got a fucking egghead. It doesn't work in this helmet.
Of course it doesn't work. You're right.
Right.
Yeah, the game is it's not on the same platform. It's definitely very much of a curve at that point.
But
That's
then
crazy.
you get people that jump on bandwagons too. It's like
Oh, you would.
it's like if I tell you Simpson motorcycle helmets they're loud when you wear them. Then when you wear it, the first thing you're gonna do is like, yeah, it is kind of loud.
Yep. It's that subconscious
Yeah,
part
it's
of you
like
where you're like, oh,
compared to fucking what? Not having a helmet on, like you hear everything. Your ears ring when you stop. You know what I mean?
yes,
So it's like certain shit. Like I think it's stupid, man. Like you pick a helmet, you pick handlebars, and you pick seats based on what feels right after you've ridden for more than 5. It's like they have these like seat programs now that Saddleman does. I think it's a good idea. Like they have demo seats you can put on the bike and you can go ride it and see if you like it.
nice,
It's good because
That's
when you
huge.
sit on a seat at a dealership with your feet still on the ground,
right.
it doesn't feel the same as if you ride
fuck
around the
no.
block.
I just bought, and I'll tell you the company. I bought a Lepera for my Street Glide,
Mm-hmm.
brand new Street Glide. Threw the Lepera on there, and I'm like, what the fuck did I do? This thing sucks ass. It's
Yeah.
hard as fuck. Yeah, my feet are planted, and I'm not a tall guy. I'm about 5'9", but man, if this seat isn't fucking uncomfortable as shit. So I'm with you on the branding issue of it. I think it's fun to bounce stuff off of each other, what we like and what we don't, or what we dislike, But no, I mean, you definitely put in the miles. Are you planning any more long distance trips like this? Do you think?
Well,
you're gonna be going?
the goal was to start doing stuff like this once a month, but
Nice.
with
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Definitely getting out there, getting the mix. And
well, I want
getting going.
to like when the weather's better up northeast, I really want to go up there and do stuff, and that I want to just. I know people like listen to podcasts that are in person. It sounds better. The phone thing, it's super helpful when many reasons keep us from having people in person. So at least we
Sure.
get to do something. We bring something to the table. But
Right.
doing these podcasts like this, like, dude, if I'm lucky and I get 10 podcasts out of this trip,
Mhm.
like I hope I do,
Mhm.
then fuck, you guys are welcome. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
But if I only get 5, then that's still 5 in person from people that I know that you guys want to hear from. So
versus the phone thing or whatever.
yeah, the phone's good. I mean, it's not the worst. I mean, I've listened to plenty phone ones, and it is what it is. But even if I get my whole dream studio thing, I'm still gonna have to do phone podcasts at some point.
Yeah, I like it.
There's not
I
enough
think
money in the motorcycle podcasting game. Like I did all this research. Joe Rogan gets average of $30,000 per podcast he does. He does an average of 5 per week on some occasions.
Okay.
So if all of a sudden he's like, you know what, man, hey, I'll fly you here, I'll put you up, I'll put you on the podcast, blah 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 blah. Blah.
Right.
We don't have that kind of money in the motorcycle world. It's never going to be that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
I gotta like, like when Joe Kidd came, he hit me up. Hey, I'm coming to town. I had a lot of work to do, a full day's worth of work,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you get me and him together, and we're gonna talk fucking 3 hours before the podcast,
Yep.
5 hours on the podcast, and 3 hours after the podcast, and that's exactly what happened. Got nothing done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Kind of.
And then I had to work the next day,
Yeah. Then you gotta keep on going.
which was Saturday, which I didn't want to work. So.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like when these guys are coming through town, like I'm gonna do, fuck, I'm not gonna pass that
Grab 'em while you
opportunity.
can.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, definitely.
So it like kind of takes a priority in a sense,
Has to. Yep.
And some of the best
Definitely.
podcasts that I've enjoyed myself that I've been a part of have been like that, like just random, like, oh,
Random.
dude, you're coming to town, you're in Dallas,
Off
dude,
the fucking
where you
cuff.
at? I'll fucking come wherever you're at, and we'll podcast. you
Hell
know?
yeah.
So
Yeah. It's good shit.
yeah.
What do you as far as like with the Sturgis and stuff, do you have some people that you're going up there with? Or is that something you're going up there solo? Are you and Jesse going? Or is
I don't know. I don't think Jesse's going. I want to take my wife, just me and her.
Nice.
But
Does your wife, did she ride as well?
she's been riding, but she doesn't ride as much as she used to. So when I started riding on the FXR, the bike was just a lot smaller.
Yeah, definitely.
So I didn't really enjoy having a passenger as much.
Does she like going on the road glide? She
hasn't really ridden on this one much.
no.
She's kind of been conditioned not to ride for the last year and a half, so I'm trying to get her back on the come ride with me bandwagon.
My wife was the same thing, like the sport bikes.
Yeah.
I would do wheelies down the street, and just have fun and just, get it up real quick or whatever and have a blast with it. And she was like, there's no fucking way I'm riding with you. you're a fucking idiot, you know. But I think on baggers and stuff like that, it's a different story, you know, as long as it's more comfort end of it that you can go on a longer ride with. So we've got some cool stuff coming up with you. We're going to do custom pearl. We talked about maybe doing some different styles and stuff like that. I know you've got some cover ideas.
You got Schultz, Execution, Cerium. Is that how you say his name?
It's like aquarium, but you say cerarium.
Cerarium.
Which is a weird, trippy thing. He's actually a college grad who, I don't know what he studied in college, but he's a well-spoken guy. He's like this intellect guy, just tripped out, dude. You see his paintwork, and it's like layers over layers and just having like all these see-through stuff. There's a restaurant that I'm going to go see this Thursday that's called the Born and Raised. It's out in San Diego. And the guy, Arsalan, who owns it, is, in a weird sense, through Van Shoes, is how I met Dane Danner, who we have his car out here that we're doing. We're doing his Nomad. We're doing a custom paint work for that. So it's got like this cool little, I don't know, like this little mosh pit thing going on with all of us. That's rad. But Cerarium, we'll be doing a custom paint. Cerarium, what he did was, in this restaurant, he did all the flake. So you have like the butcher chop blocks, you have the countertops, you have the bathroom. The whole fucking bathroom is flaked out with our 50/50.
Real.
So I have customers that are coming into the shop and they're like, yo, Brian, you got to check out this bathroom, dude. Like, I know you're from San Diego and this bathroom is flaked out. Like, you would love this. And I'm like, that's my flake.
Yeah.
They're like, no. It's a restaurant that's just open. I'm like, yeah, that's my flake, dude. Yeah, we did that. Like, in a sense of it, it's, you know, Phil from Cerarium. He did that. So Phil, we're going to do some tripped out flakes. Smith Concepts. Bombshell, she's got this gypsy rose, like a really cool, like, I don't know, it's like a rose gold type flake that she wants to do. You know, we've got the Danny D, we've got the Buck Wild. Buck Wild is really cool with the monochromatic series that we've done. That's been a huge hit for years. I like the fact that people can candy over stuff. So if it's a product that, like, even on your stuff too, like when we do, I always want it for them, you know, for the end user to be able to use it, not just kind of like whatever. But speaking on that too, though, we're going to do some box sets. We've got some really cool things going on with my buddy Zach from Throttle Addiction that we want to do some limited edition series. So like if you buy these limited edition boxes with our flakes or with the with the signature flakes in there, you're going to get these boxes that are really cool, like a metal box that has like laser engraved. It would have like, you know, the Paint Huffer logo on there, but it would be maybe a series of like 1 through 150. It would have, you know, the Fast Life Garage on there as well, kind of do a uniqueness to that. So that way you could use it for your airbrushes, you could use it for whatever. So you buy the flake, have it, something tangible you can keep for a long time and, you know, keep it on your shelf. You're not buying something that's just cheesy. I don't like doing stuff that you can't utilize or you can't hold on to forever. I want it to be a keepsake. I want it to be something that you're going to be able to really be proud of, to own and have it. It doesn't make sense to do it otherwise.
You're like when you finish a bottle of liquor and you keep the bottle.
Throw it away. Yeah, exactly, man. Throw it on that shelf and be proud of it. It's the same exact analogy. Yeah, I want to use that from that way. So I think that'll be fun to do. So now I'm excited to do. I know you and I have been brainstorming on yours, and we'll have that launching soon. You know, we've got a lot of these ones that are coming out. Even over the next couple of weeks, we've got Travis Tukey, which is Travis S. I mean, we've got a really cool vintage type style flake that we've got coming out with that. Execution that we touched base on. We're doing a kind of a heavy metal mix with him. We're going to be doing this kind of like 3 different type of silver flakes that we're going to be mixing together. So it's even, I don't know, it's crazy, dude. Even more bling to it. It'll be rad. It's some really cool concepts to do. We like depth with flakes. You know what I mean? When you do a flake job, you don't want to have it just, you know, very basic, like, oh yeah, here's a basic flake job. I want you to be able to have the depth right on the bottle. So you don't have to sit there and mix stuff. A lot of painters, when we first launched Paint Huffer years ago, they were like, well, hey, I want to take your micro silver, I'm going to take your mini, and I'm going to take your basic, you know, your .015, which is the industry standard for all flakes. And I want to mix all 3 of those together. I want to mix 2 of these together. So customers started doing it, and that's where I was like, well, hey, you know, we should just launch this 50/50 and really just start to bottle it this way. And then that just, you know, took off, of course, you know, so it was good on there.
Yeah, we use that shit so much.
I'm glad.
I just
dude. Yeah.
I just did a soft tail. I got a bagger that half of it's done. I got 2 more. It's just everything we do gets 50-50 flake, just about.
50-50 is crazy, man. Everybody and their mother like tagging us, and I'll get people over in Italy, other companies that use it. I mean, even on like the clothing company or auto manufacturers will use it like in their dashes of their cars. Chevy just did a big, huge line of their trucks for their Silverado trucks that are going to have part of our flakes as incorporated into their dash, which is weird when you think about that because then they're all like that ABS injection mold and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole different philosophy. People think flake, it just has to be on a hot rod or a motorcycle. We're actually in the automobile industry. We're on the guitar, like all the guitar companies. Warmoth we deal with, Fender guitar, of course, Gibson guitar, which is really cool. So yeah, it's a fun thing. In 2019, we just want to hit it hard with all the new colors coming out, launch all these out, get a flavor of all these artists that we've been dealing with for a long time. I mean, these aren't people that we just brought on yesterday and we're like, hey, let's do a signature flake. You guys know who these people are.
Yeah.
You've been seeing their work. You've been seeing them, come through the fruition. And they're definitely heavy hitters. It's fun to see this. With yourself, Jace, do you see yourself, like I know we talked about doing some helmets and stuff like that. Are you going to get more into the bagger end of it? Or do you want to get out of it? Or are you thinking, or you want to? I
don't fucking know what I want to do. I want to get my bills paid right now. And then I want to do cool shit, man. Like, I want to free up time to where, like you really have the time to just put into a bike or a paint job or a helmet that's just, like, challenging yourself, like, you know what I mean?
I agree.
But I don't know. Helmets are fun. I like them because now it's getting to a point where the helmets that we do for people, they mean something to them.
Right.
Like I don't like when someone gets it done, it's like it feels kind of weird saying it from my mouth, but it's starting to become like this thing, like, oh, I got one of those fast like garage helmet paint jobs.
Hell yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so crazy because like I look at my helmets compared to like Poland's or all these other badass guys, and it's like nowhere near. But
you see
in the motorcycle industry, helmet paint jobs they've never been as big as the race car industry, and now that the way bikes have become, or like more people wear helmets now than ever before, in my opinion, from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, totally.
So people are starting to wear them more, and they're starting to become more attached to them. So you're seeing people start to value what they do to them more.
Yep.
And so, like, I just feel like it's kind of opening up a new door to where you really, like, and of course I've tried to brand it this way too, like, wearing a helmet for a year and riding all over the country and doing shit with it, and that paint job, or even if it's just a helmet, like, it should mean something to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it should be like a good trophy or something that you have as a part of you.
So it's getting to that point. So.
Now you've been known for this airbrushing and doing all these characters on the back of it, which has been fucking hilarious. And your airbrushing, your portraits are on point. Like when I tattoo portraits, that's what I was known for. It's just portrait game, portrait. Everybody come to me, Brian does portraits. Yeah, okay, cool. But I did portraits when people were just barely starting to get into that. I knew Corey Miller really well, and then I knew, Kat Von D, and then we're starting to get into the game as well. So I'm an old tattoo artist. But when I started doing portraits, I was the rarity. But you can tell who knows how to do a portrait the right way and who doesn't. When I see your contrast, and you have to see those features. Everything's looking at his eyes, nose, and lips. Those are the main things our eyes are going to focus on.
Yeah.
Everything you do is to a T. And I know I've heard you say this in a million podcasts. You're like, dude, I'm fucking done with doing helmets. I'm tired of doing these. I'm tired of this. But I think that's your niche, man. I think you're definitely killing it, though.
But it's it is, and I enjoy it. And I just it's like the helmet I just finished had that tiger on it, or the lion, or whatever the fuck, the kitty cat.
Fuck yeah.
It's like that helmet took forever to do, is because I was just trying to do new shit.
Yeah.
And it's like I really like Poland's work, dude. I'm a huge fan of Poland's work.
Austin is
and so
retardedly great.
Just like some kid that's getting into this shit that loves my work, that's trying to do his own thing but not do what I do.
Right.
I'm the same way. Like, it's hard because I love his work so much.
Yep.
And I want to do my thing on it. So like when I'm laying out shit or I'm trying stuff, I'm like, that looks way too much like him.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to create my own style with it, and it's going to take a couple of helmets, and then I think that I'll have my, race car helmet blend with panels and lace and airbrush, and it's just a conglomerate of different styles of paintwork together.
Let me ask you that for a second. I've talked to Buck Wild about this on several different talks, and we've talked for hours and hours and hours on it. Do you think, we know Austin came into the whole thing via the go-kart, series, and then came up and started doing the NASCAR series and expanded from there. Do you see more race helmet painters coming on board now? Because I see a few of them, and I've been very blessed that they use our flake, and we've been able to repost them and whatnot. But do you see that's the next kind of wave of going? Because those guys are killing it.
That style of paintwork is getting huge. Already, the bagger scene and the paint bagger scene is starting to go that direction.
But let me ask you this, because I think a lot of people, including myself, when I got out of painting, I stopped painting about maybe 7 years ago. When I stopped painting, I was doing the scales and the tape outs, okay? And it was just the same redundancy. Everybody wanted the same fucking tape out, same fucking, hey, Brian, I need you to do this on this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, so you don't want anything original? You don't want something off?
See, that whole argument, though, that's hard to do because
I know.
For me, it's yes, I'm sick of doing lace. I'm sick of doing fucking Eddie Van Halen guitar paint jobs.
High five.
Fingerprint. I'm sick of all of it. But
right.
When that dude comes in, he wants to spend the money, and I know that I can bang it out, and I know that I'm good at it, and I'm going to give him a good quality, solid product, and I can get my rent paid.
Right.
That's what I do. So it's a very fine line between having the freedom financially to explore. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're just going to explore all day long, you're not going to be in business.
No. Fuck no.
So
you gotta
I'm fortunate because I have a thing that I sell. I don't have to do whatever I don't have to take whatever the customer puts on the table. If I'm not interested, I turn it down. I have a lot of opportunities. But then you get certain customers that have faith in you. And even in my head, I'm not, if this comes out shitty, I'll buy him another helmet.
Has corporate come to you at all?
Who?
Any corporate, like let's say Simpson or Bell, to do a signature series on you?
No.
I'm surprised.
I'm too. I say fag a lot, stuff like that.
Yeah, but you know what, dude? When I first got into this, even the first launch of Paint Huffer, I don't know, I was in business for maybe 8 days, and I got hit up by Troy Lee Designs. And Troy was like, man, I want your flake. I want you out here. I want you to do some stuff. And we want to do some pro racers. And I'm like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Yeah. But Troy was doing these one-off customs and stuff like that. Would you ever be interested in doing your own type of a helmet? Maybe that's something else that, you can get into as well. I mean, there's so many different variables. We could philosophize all night long about it. But
I think, is it Bell or Biltwell does signature helmets with certain painters, or they did for a while. But I was even talking to Chemical Candy.
I think it was more like shows. They were doing the shows where they would take.
I don't remember which one. The one that did all this shit with Chemical Candy.
Well, that's Bell.
That's Bell.
Bell did that, yeah.
But I mean,
they'll come through.
This could be not my place to say, but Scott wasn't too happy about that because it was you get one check and then they keep selling your shit for the rest of forever.
Right.
That one check is
check equal?
No, not even
sold. Or it's like the record industry. Would you rather have points? And these kids who were 20, 23 years old who jump into, I don't know, some fucking boy band.
Yeah, the thing about the corporate, man, is it really is. It only works is if someone can pimp your name out,
right?
And if they can do it and make if they can give you 10% of and they keep the other 90. That's the only way it ever works, right?
So let me ask you this: when I came on board, when we talked a little bit about this, you and I have talked about this offline and online and around the block. When I came on board, House of Color, PBG, I'll say One Shot, I'll say Exalta, these companies weren't sponsoring anybody, hardly anybody. Mm-hmm. You had maybe 3 or 4 tops. And I think they weren't showing the love back to the industry. There was more of just a dollar greed at that point.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about maybe, you've worked for major corporations going out there and you don't get a lot of love back, or you don't get the love back, when you're trying to paint a bike or whatever, you're not getting the feel back on there. I think more independent companies like ourselves came into this mix at the right time because we generally give a shit about the small dude.
Yeah.
The little guys that are out there. And I think that independent companies will always hold more heart and more compassion for these people. I mean, it's why I'm up at 3:30 in the morning answering questions on my DM. Do I want to be laying in bed with my wife? Well, of course. But am I very passionate about my business and our brand? Well, fuck yeah, obviously. And I see that with you as well. I mean, you just drove 1,100 fucking miles today at, dark 30 to come out here and to do this. There's a compassion with independent companies that do that. And I think this is rad. I mean, we have podcasts. We have all these different little facets that are coming on board for this way. I think it's cool to help out the mom and pop type shops and to do that. Love Cycles, that guy Jeremiah, he started out of a garage across the street from me. He was my neighbor, Jeremiah. And he was like, now he's in the Harley Davidson Museum. And it's cool to see small companies that'll come to fruition. I remember Jeremiah coming over and being like, hey, man, I think I'm going to get into motorcycles. So I'm like, fuck yeah, do it. Go for it. You know what I mean? I love that. I think that's a great thing. Yeah, we can talk about different things and dreams that we want to do, movies, documentaries, stuff like that. I think it's one of those things where there's a will, there's a way. It'll happen. It will happen.
Well, the bigger companies like House of Color have the money or House of Color or PPG or these bigger companies, they have the money to kind of do those kind of things. But it's almost like we have to do it and then show them before we put it out there and be like, hey, do you want to put your name on this?
That's right.
It's going to cost you $40,000 or $50,000 or some shit,
When House of Color first came around, when they started seeing myself, they were actually putting up a lot of stuff on their Instagram of my flake. And they were like, look at this flake. This is awesome. And I had some talks with some of the people internally before they became the Valspar merger and all that. And I was like, yo, guys, that's my flake. What are you doing? And they're like, oh, sorry, Brian. That's 2 college kids that are sitting in a cubicle that are putting up with us on Instagram. They don't have a clue about painting. And I'm like,
well, now they don't have those kids anymore. They just got one lady.
One lady.
That does social media for Sherwin-Williams, House of Color, Valspar, and fucking, what's the other one they got?
Like PPG? Or would it be?
No. It's
what are you talking about?
Sherwin-Williams, House of Color, Valspar. There's one more in there.
So she's the one that's kind of...
She's the marketing director, so she does all that shit.
One person.
To my knowledge, what she told me.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. That's why nobody gets love on any of that shit.
But they should.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, dude. Like...
They should. They should.
Well, yeah, but then it creates the other argument, man. It's just, like I said earlier, this social media navigating the waters of it right now is very... Like, we're all figuring it out. Like, what's valuable, what's not valuable, who deserves to get free shit, who does not deserve it, or who hasn't earned it yet, is a better way to say it.
Sure.
And, like, say, for instance, in the motorcycle world, like, it seems like more these, like, you'll have a shop like Mark's or even mine, for instance, that will use products for years and sell it to hundreds of people and tell people why it's great and ride it and test it and make sure it's good. But then some kid with like 3,000 followers that puts a GoPro on his fucking mouth and rides around and talks about, oh, this guy almost hit me. Oh, get off your fucking phone, or just stuff like that. Gets free shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a slap in the face to the people that have been building the brands for the years.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't matter who you are, S&S to fucking, Fab 28 exhaust out there. The guy, the shop that's pushing your product, they deserve more love for, they deserve the love more than every other kid with 3,000 followers.
That's right.
That's exactly and if you give one kid with 3,000 followers a fucking exhaust, then every kid with 3,000 followers thinks they deserve an exhaust just by having some followers.
Definitely.
So it's just a weird world that we all got to figure out. You know what I mean?
Do you think these big companies are just becoming so big that they just don't give a shit? Like they're kind of
I just don't think people know how to deal with
how
this.
to approach it.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of these bigger companies haven't been supporting the shops because if you support one shop,
Right.
then the other dealer is like, dude, what the fuck, man? I saw your pipes too. So it's like for them, it's like, yeah, we can just use the actual guys, the customer technically,
Yep.
give them the free shit. Now we don't have these shops fighting over us.
Makes sense.
But it's like it's still.
Is it right? No, it's fucking wrong.
There's just a lot of it's a lot of new shit, man.
Yeah. I think
I got people that want me to sponsor them on paint jobs.
Yep.
That don't have any followers.
Right.
That have a YouTube channel or some shit.
Sure.
Like
they've been out selling Girl Scout cookies.
The hard thing is, I think the hard thing, like I was telling you earlier, the hard thing about me and sponsoring somebody for paint is I'm already busy enough by my own social media that I created.
Right.
So I've already done what you're trying to do for me. I've already done that for myself.
Right.
So I'm busy. I don't need more work. I mean, I do need more work, but I'm not hurting for more work, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And then in my head, I've already got like 10 people that I wish I could had the money or the whatever to give them paint jobs because I think they deserve it.
Right.
Because I think they ride hard. They ride the way I think is the kind of shit, or they're putting the kind of content out there that I think is real and honest.
Yep.
Like I have a slew of them. And if anybody out there that has a shop that's looking for someone to sponsor, hit me up. I can tell you the people are to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like there's this new model where these kids are all following these moto vloggers, and they're like, and it's cool to see people want to do shit, but it's like they're doing it for the wrong reason. Like I want to be like that so I can get shit free. Right. Like jump on your bike and do what I just did, man. That's motorcycling.
That's
you don't have to do as much as I just did. And there's guys out there doing more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's the real shit. Like that.
I don't know, dude. Waking up at fucking dark 30 and driving, 1,100 miles in your fucking riding 1,100 miles in your bike is pretty fucking gnarly.
If I'm gonna give you a bunch of shit for your bike, that's the kind of shit I expect from my free shit.
Right.
Yeah. And what are you gonna hear though? Oh, all I do is fucking coffee rides on Sundays, man. That's all we do. I'm like, no. I don't give a shit if you got kids, you got a family. You want to be a fucking influencer? Go influence people.
Right.
Do shit that other people can't do. That's what influencing is.
That's exactly.
That's
what we talked about, that Alex Honnold or whatever. These guys who are taken to the next level. Guy climbs a fucking mountain without any safety gear or does something extreme on there. You ride across the fucking state lines in the middle of the fucking night and day and then jump directly into a podcast with we spent 20 minutes and you were just bam, let's go. No food, let's go. It's hardcore.
Yeah, how many beers we get? 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, we've been pounding away some beers here.
But it's about influence. Like if you're gonna, I don't like to consider myself an influencer. That's not my goal. But it is a natural thing. It's like it's like I think it's just cool that if you're considering riding a bike or you want to ride cross country, you don't have the friends to do it. You don't need friends. I mean, you kind of
go.
Well, here's the deal. With social media, you can have friends everywhere, and as long as you're not creepy as fuck, they'll probably let you sleep on their couch. You know what I mean? So then you can ride your bike all across the country and couch surf, and you're good.
Well, how did Adam Sandoval? We talk about him.
That's how he did it.
That's exactly how he fucking did it. The guy's definitely a champ at that. I'm proud of you, brother. I mean, you have been nothing but, a star from fucking day one, coming all the way out here and doing all this. And I know we're getting it's about 1 o'clock here in Phoenix right now.
Yeah.
So we're about to wrap up. No, man, I thank you, brother. Thank you for all your support. I'm glad to have you on the team.
Thank you for the support.
It's good shit. I'm glad you came all the way out tonight and did this, It was a good birthday. I'm glad to have this.
Happy birthday to you, and thanks for getting me a hotel room.
Yeah, you're welcome, dude. No, I want to hook you up proper. I mean, that's the love there, and there's you deserve that, dude. You're driving across the fucking country. I have nothing but huge respect for that, and I think that's a great thing with this podcast. This podcast you're doing is, I don't know, it's just awesome. It's fun to listen to. I look forward to every time, all of a sudden I see that thing pop up on my phone. It's like, you have a new podcast. I'm like, fuck yeah, rad. It's fun to listen to in the shop here. I mean, we play it all. Everybody that works here at Paint Huffer, we just blast it. We put it on the speakers out here in the warehouse and in the mini showroom, our other little warehouse here, and put it on full blast and just listen to it all night while we're pulling orders. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. So, no, I'm proud of you. Keep up the great work, brother.
Cool.
It's good stuff. Anything else happening? I'm all taking over your interview. I'm taking over your fucking job here. I'm asking you what's next.
I'm brain dead right now. No, nothing, man. I'm just doing this. So
you're fried. Where does everybody find how to get a hold of you to get some paint work done? Like, do they just contact you on?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, they know how to get a hold of you.
I got plenty of
It's the same thing from there.
Every day, like, hey, how much for a helmet? And 1 out of every 10 people actually come through.
Oh, dude.
So.
Oh, dude.
But I get at least 5 a day.
Yes.
So.
Oh, yes. I'm right.
I don't get as many bike paint jobs, and it's like.
Here, you want some?
No.
Dude, today alone, I'm not kidding you. We can even count these. I probably have maybe 32, 33. Hey, man. And what the problem is, it's not. Here's something from Mr. Oz. We have all these requests. So it'll say like right now I have 13 requests on my phone. And here we go. Hey man, I'm about to order a couple of colors of flakes off you guys. Wondering if you have a discount code going on right now. No, motherfucker, stop being cheap. Our flakes already at a good price. That's what I feel like writing back to this guy. But I'm like, I'm not going to do that, of course. I'll definitely hook him up. Check out our website, dude. We got great prices. And we're made in America. We're not made in fucking Pakistan. Our shit's, solvent grade. It's legit. It's not going to fade out on you. But I'll answer this guy back, and I'll give him respect. I'll be like, hey, man, I'll hook you up. If you really need a discount, if you're really that short on money or whatever, I will definitely take care of you. But we get hit with these paint things, as you were saying.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's a common denominator every day. Yo, can you paint this for me? I got a call from Paul Sr. I think you and I talked about this. And he was under the impression that I had done all those paintings. And I'm like, oh, no. That's a collective. That's all of our artists all over the world. And he was like, oh, my God. He goes, well, will you still paint for me for the show? We're doing all these, the new Orange County choppers. And I was like, no, let me find you a painter that's in your backyard or somewhere close to you if you're worried about that. He's like, well, I'd like to use Arizona, but it's just so far away. And I'm like, well, I get that. I'm not going to find you somebody in Arizona or California. I'll find you somebody that's close. So, yeah, it's crazy. But a lot of people are under the assumption that Brian paints all those. And I'm like, no, you guys need to read that. No,
dude, I'll post a picture of the helmet and tell you exactly what it is.
Right.
Who makes it.
Yep.
What I painted it with. And the first fucking comment is, what type of helmet is that?
Totally.
And I'm just like, I'm not even answering this, dude.
How do you paint a helmet?
Hey, I want to start painting, but how do I think of something like that?
Right.
Like, dude.
Exactly. What is a paint gun? Yeah. What kind of compressors do I need? And that stuff I'll help them with.
When it comes to like painters, like a lot of people reach out to me. I try to be helpful. But there needs to be like a real forum for that, man.
There does, and I think that's what we're going to go into next. Where you and I were talking about both about maybe even the YouTube or doing something like that. Like, and I retro back to this because when I called Coast Airbrush when I didn't know anything years and years and years ago, and I met that lady and she was super sweet and she told me about you have to gas off this paint fumes and you have to do this, Brian. This is the proper procedure. I was like, wow, okay, this is the type of customer service, and that's why I do this with this guy. Even this guy, I'm going to answer him in a legitimate way. I don't want to, Sure. I'd rather be that guy that helped him. So we're maybe 12 years down the road. He's a badass. He's like, hey, man, Brian from Paint Huffer helped me.
Yeah.
When nobody else would, they wouldn't give me those answers. He was legit and stepped up and came through. But I see you doing more of that. Would you do a YouTube channel? I think you should.
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought of wanting to get into the teaching and instructing aspect, but at the same time, like, I think I just want to talk. Because I think that
you want to expand your podcast.
Well, I think that a lot of knowledge can be gained from a conversation about what you're trying to do. Like, I think a lot of people's, when it comes to paint, a lot of people they want, for one, like, say you know how to paint, like you're a car painter, you want to do some custom paint,
right?
Like you just jump way in the deep end. I'm doing leaf and I'm putting skulls all over the bike. Yeah, you're probably going to suck at both of those, right? Why not just, like, and I tell my friends this all the time, like, do the simple things that you know how to do as clean as possible and grow from that instead of trying to go out and do what things that you don't know how to do. I'm not saying don't practice these things and get better, but a clean, very well executed paint job, even if it's just a simple fucking racing stripe down the center of it, if it's quality, it's gonna outbeat some loud, fancy fucking mini truck paint job all day long. If it's crappy work.
You and I talked a little bit about that ago about the helmets, and I see you making a huge mark in the helmets and doing the portraits, especially on the back of the helmets. That's your niche, right? And I know I've seen it with you, brother. I've seen like half your body. You're like, fuck this. I'm out of this. Dude, I'm tired of doing these helmets. I'm tired of doing these portraits. But the same point of it, you keep rising and rising and rising. That's your niche. Do you think, we touched base on this a little bit earlier, do you think the bagger world is going towards more of these race type paint jobs? We saw Poland come back from, what's it, Daytona, where he did that paint job that was just like, mind blowing.
Well, Poland did that, and so did the BX Customs. They out of South Carolina, North Carolina. I think it's North Carolina.
Okay.
They have this dude Chad Hampton and Chris Fox and another Lemon. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Paint by Lemon.
Yes, I have.
So Lemon's a good friend of mine. All three of those dudes are great friends of mine, and like Chad Hampton, Chris Fox, like I saw these dudes kind of come out of nowhere, right? The last couple of years. Not even, put it like this. They're painting 100+ bikes a year each for BX Designs. And their designs are always very simple. And as he's grown, each one of these guys, as they've grown as painters, they've expanded their skills, but they've always focused on the quality of the lines and the work that they've done, right? So 5 years ago, their designs were super basic, super simple, and I'm saying that in a very respectful way. I'm not saying it was bad.
Right.
It was just simple, right? But it was executed very cleanly and nicely. So the paint work was quality.
Yes.
And now, after they've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, I could see more elaborate styles and graphics getting done through their work. And it's fucking quality, and it's better now. It's they're doing more elaborate shit. But in the last couple of jobs each one of these dudes have done, they've had like this more race kind of flowing style that's kind of getting real popular on the baggers. And I think that's where a lot of things are going. And I think that right now for anybody that's been doing this shit, it's an opportunity to like apply what you know how to do now to this new style and see if you can create your style in your part of this niche.
I love that. It gets us away from these scallops and these tape outs and single tape lines. And I mean, I will always love that 70s style esque type paint jobs. And I grew up with that, and I love seeing that on the old sporties and back in the 60s and 70s and seeing that on all the choppers that were back then. But I mean, now it's like, what's next? What are we going to see next? Because if I see another tape out design, I'm just like, all right, dude, you know what? Like, I give up. You know what I mean?
It's hard. It's hard to get it's hard to get wrapped up into what's next, because sometimes you get so wrapped up into that you don't pay attention to what's going on now.
Okay.
And some people just they fall off then.
Yeah.
So it's like
sense. Yeah, definitely.
You have to invest in the future. Yeah, that goes along with painters. You have to like be aware of the trends and how they're leaning. Dude, I was late to the panel game. I didn't want to do it. I thought the shit wasn't gonna last. I was like, this shit's too easy.
I think there's always gonna be a market for that.
It's always gonna be there for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
do you see yourself doing more portraits on helmets? I mean, I know you've been like, fuck this, Brian.
I want to like expand like helmet stuff, but I'm at a point where I feel like I'm capped out of what I can make on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's
do you like doing the portraits? I mean, is that challenging?
I like it. It's fun.
And I tell you, because being a tattoo artist, when I do those, and what I charge is,
well, it's cool when it's a portrait, but then every once in a while you get someone that's like, man, I want to put a pin up, and I'm like, I'm not good at doing hands. So if anybody ever seen some hands I do, they're fucked up. So
now, did you tattoo as well?
I did for a while.
I remember in one of your early podcasts, you talked about how you were kind of thrown into a tattoo shop real quick and you just jumped in, and that's the wrong way. I mean, that's definitely, you just did you have a portfolio, or were you tattooing
No.
for a while?
I just walked in and
Just like, I need a job, and
no, I just like, dude, I knew how to airbrush,
okay, yeah.
so they just applied.
Because I think a lot of people don't realize, I mean, even how great of an airbrush artist you are. I mean,
Dude,
that's something that's very like you're friends with Ryan.
With Ryan, yeah, it's also because at some point in time I really spent a couple of years like studying art in a sense
Right.
to understand like shading and
contrast.
and I've paid enough attention to the actual processes of making art,
Mm-hmm.
even though I don't really pay attention to it now or even follow it for that much. It's like once I get into bikes, like it's just like that's all I'm into is bikes, right? But I know.
Sure.
But I spent so long doing like canvases and paintings and stuff like that to where I learned some of that shit then. So that's why, like, dude, it's been so long since I've done like color portraits
Mm-hmm.
that part of me wants to do one just for the sake of to myself.
Fuck yeah.
But
Totally.
I have.
Yeah.
But the only reason I don't, and I wanted, this is something I want to add into our helmet paint jobs, is I want to add more flavor to that, like with colors or using like kind of like how lowriders would do, like some stuff like that. But it's just about having the time to kind of pull it off. Like I need 3 or 4 days to fuck up and wipe it off and do it again until I get it right, get the colors right. And sometimes I don't have that, especially with the time now, because it's like.
And I see that with like guys like Steven Gibson,
Mm-hmm.
Air, Oil, and Lead. Like he's the guy that we sponsor as well. And it's, man.
He just did that big Lemmy portrait.
Dude.
So sick.
Dude. Fucking retarded. And I talk to him all the time. When I first brought him on the team, I always called him Rodney Mullen because I grew up in the skateboard world and everything, and everybody's like, oh, you're like
he has
Stacey
that
Peralta.
technical, yeah.
But I call him Rodney. So when I say Rodney, that's who I'm referring to. You'll know that. But with Rodney, like he just took it to another level. And I would have painter guys who were, finite airbrush artists who were like, oh, well, he's taken forever and he's definitely, he's taken 3 days on this thing that should only last, he's not making any money on this or whatever. But I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe sometimes that's where it comes to the next thing, where it's just like pushing the next envelope. I'm excited to see where some of these young guys who are even coming up looking at Paint Huffer, looking at Jace, looking at yourself, as far as where the opportunities are, where are we going to be in another 20 years? What are we going to fucking see,
I think
dude?
the other aspect too that people seem to not want to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess it's because of being an artist. It's about the passion of art and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
You motherfuckers got to get paid too, so
Yes.
you have to do work.
Yes.
You have to find a way to provide that Steve Gibson kind of quality
Yes.
at a rate and a time frame that you can get paid and pay your bills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's, dude, like I've just been in this industry for the last 15 years, almost 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people die. I've seen people lose their like shit, just the stress of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going off the deep end, drugs, all kinds of crazy shit, because it's a complicated thing.
Right.
You have to, like me and Ryan Townsend talk about this a lot because he's so passionate about art.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about money,
Right.
but he needs money to live. So
find
it's
it.
like you have to find that balance.
I think you got to get to that level to where you're like, okay, look, I got all the monthly bills paid. I got everything structurally set. Okay, so now the next week, I can focus this longevity on this one piece and just blast it out.
Well, see, a lot
then
of
I can
times
jump
with
in.
artists too, is it you have to be in the mood for it.
Oh, yeah. No, high five. There's
You
some
know?
times where people are like, hey, man, I need you to drop me a sleeve. And I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
I do not want to get up tomorrow.
Sometimes, like
I'll
I'll have to do a portrait, and I'll put it off, and I'll put it off, and I'll be
Sure.
so much anxiety to go into the project,
Right.
and then once I finally take the step, it's like, oh shit, it's over. It only took me 4 hours,
Yeah.
but
And
it took
killed
me
it.
4 days.
Yeah. How
to
did you
get-
get into portraits?
I don't fucking know. Just
I mean, were you drawing them before? or
I
were
think we
you-
talked about that last time, doing the canvases at the car shows and shit.
Yeah, that's how. Well, you were doing
Yeah.
like the sport bike stuff.
Well, I was doing
Oh,
canvases. I didn't really do the portraits on the sport bikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey.
Well, all right. Well, let's just wrap it up. It's 2.5 hours.
Oh fuck, dude. All right. Yeah, we're good. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Anything else you want to close out on?
Now, good. Thanks for all this, man.
I appreciate you,
Sleepy.
brother. I'm proud of you.
We'll talk to you later, man.
Sounds good.
All right.
Cool.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for checking this out. Hope you guys enjoyed it, man. Like I said, we didn't really have anything in particular to talk about, but, you know, being industry guys, I'm sure we found a few things to ramble off about. So anyway, I thank you guys for checking this out. Thank you for all the new Patreon supporters and everybody that's been helping out with that end of this podcast. And you know, don't worry, man, we're going to keep doing this regardless. You know, it is something that I love to do, and you know, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'm trying to get better at every aspect of it, as you heard me talk about in this podcast. And you know, it's fun, so we're gonna keep doing this regardless, so don't worry. Anyway, thank you, D&D Exhaust, man. Check them out, dndexhaust.com, as well as D&D Exhaust on Instagram. You can also phone in at 844 D&D Pipe and get you some nice high performance products for your exhaust flow systems. Also thank Mark from Texas Performance MC for everything he does. He actually dialed me in on some not service, fucking, what was it? Damn, it's too early. I need a monster. He actually gave us a tune on the bike before I came out here. I've been running that bike with just an exhaust and air cleaner and no tune on it for the last like 5 months. And so he kind of came in and did a flash tune just so it'll kind of be a little evened out for me. And I tell you what, man, doing a tune on these bikes, like, literally changes the way the bike feels. It feels so much better riding. It's just smoother, more crisp, and it's a half-ass tune, you know what I mean? It's not dyno tune. So I'm pretty excited about once we get down and go into there and add a cam to it and really sit there on the dyno and get it dialed. So check them out, Texas Performance MC on Instagram, as well as on the World Wide Web. I also want to thank Paint Huffer Metal Flake guy you just heard, Brian. Thank you, sir. Happy birthday again. And you know, check him out. Check out all the badass artists that he's sponsoring and putting out there, you know, and trying his best to kind of, you know, just help us be seen and you know, whatever you want to call it. So you can check all the dope artists out at Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram, and you can check out his product line at painthuffer.com. So do that. And yeah, I appreciate you guys checking this out, man. I'm gonna try to see what I can do here in Phoenix today, and you know, and then I'll be back on the road to Vegas. If you're in Vegas, man, hit me up, man. I'd love to meet you. If you're in LA area, I don't know what the schedule is going to be later on this week, but if you stay tuned into our Instagram, I'll try to keep everybody up to date. And man, I'm trying to ride, dude. I'm trying to ride. Drink some beer. What's up? Let's do some shit. You guys have a good Monday.